Chapter 1467. Back to Miracle Healer Academy advanced from the Foundation Establishment stage to the Gold Core stage, could dispel the corpse puppet virus, healed the soul-searched people, and now she even saved more than half of the elders and students of the Miracle Healer Academy with her own power. And her strength had surpassed most of the elders. Deputy Dean Jiang didn't even know what attitude he should use to talk to this unusual student. Student Shiyu, would you like to go back to Miracle Healer Academy? Of course. Why don't you want to go back? Zheng Shouyue was anxious when he heard that. He grabbed Heshi, pulled her sleeve tightly, and said with a fierce gaze, "Old man Jiang, what do you mean by that? Shiyu contributes the most this time. He is also the treasurer of our Huang medical branch. Do you still want to drive him out of Miracle Healer Academy? If you dare to drive Shiyu away, I will go with him." "We will go too." Huang medical branch shouted without hesitation, "Wherever Shiyu goes, we will go too." Deputy Dean Jiang's face was flushed. He said embarrassingly and angrily, "What nonsense are you talking about? How could I drive Shiyu away? Shiyu's current ability has far surpassed the elders like us. I just want to ask Shiyu if she is still willing to stay at Miracle Healer Academy?" When Deputy Dean Jiang said this, everyone was dumbfounded. Zheng Shouyue pulled a bunch of his beard off, but he didn't feel any pain at all. Instead, he frowned tightly. The people from Huang Medical Branch stared at Shiyu nervously, for fear that she would say not going back to Miracle Healer Academy. Not to mention Huang Medical Branch, people of the other branches were also staring at Shiyu. After this disaster, Shiyu was like a savior in their hearts. She had become an idol that most people admired and yearned for. No one wants his idol to leave, right? Heshi smiled slightly. Under Zheng Shouyue's anxious gaze, she slowly said, "I haven't finished reading many books in the Miracle Healer Academy library. At least until the end of this year, I will not leave Miracle Healer Academy." Heshi's words made everyone present breathe a sigh of relief. Deputy Dean Jiang said even more excitedly, "Shiyu, don't worry, when you go back, I will give you the highest authority. You can borrow any books from the library at will. Except for top-secret materials, it doesn't matter even if you want to make a copy of all books. I just hope that Shiyu, you can occasionally help the students of our academy in their cultivation if it doesn't bother you." The students of Huang Medical Branch used to be trash before. However, after Shiyu entered Huang Medical Branch, they improved quickly. 2 of them even advanced to the Gold Core stages in just a few months. How could he not be excited by this? Heshi smiled, neither refusing nor agreeing. Seeing that Heshi was still willing to stay at Miracle Healer Academy, the people of the Huang Medical Branch jumped up excitedly. All of them wanted to accompany Heshi to walk out of the magical beast forest. However, meeting the cold eyes of Nangong Yu who had disguised his face again, the group of people shrank back immediately. They didn't know how strong this man was, but the aura exuding from him was really terrifying. But this man's behavior of monopolizing Shiyu was really annoying. They really wanted to throw him out. Heshi glanced at Nangong Yu, whose eyes were somewhat gloomy, couldn't help but hold his finger, and said in a low voice, "Are you angry that I'm going back to Miracle Healer Academy? Great news! We're thrilled to announce a special 7-day trial exclusively on Patreons." Chapter 1468. Wuliang Mountain, Feng family. Nangong Yu looked down at her and snorted, "Anyway, you don't care about me at all. You would rather go back to Miracle Healer Academy than marry me." Heshi blushed and looked around to make sure no one was paying attention, then she quickly stood on tiptoe, kissed Nangong Yu on the face, and said in a low voice like a mosquito, "It's not that you don't want to marry, it is just that I really have a lot to learn at Miracle Healer Academy. Many of the books there have been of great benefit to her. Moreover, Nangong Yu and I have only known each other for a year after all. We should at least wait a little longer to marry." "At least wait until I graduate, right?" Nangong Yu's eyes lit up when he heard the words. The joy and smile on his face couldn't be concealed. "Sheer, you said that yourself. Soon, you will be my bride." Heshi froze for a moment. As she was about to explain, chirping sounds came from the sky. A yellow yumin bird and a fiery red bird flew down from the sky. One flapped its wings and flew in front of Heshi while the other unceremoniously stepped on Heshi's shoulder. Liu handed the inscribed jade slip held in her claw to Heshi. Heshi frowned slightly. She didn't check the content in the inscribed jade slip, and she just sneered. It seems that Ouyang Haoshuan and Xian Wu have already made their moves. Nangong Yu's expression remained unchanged. He stretched out his hand to caress Heshi's smooth cheek and smiled slowly. Feng family, it's time to completely disappear from the Miluo continent. Wuliang Mountain. Feng family was in chaos now. Iron Kirin shuttled between the buildings in an orderly manner, sealing off all the paths. All the disciples of the Feng family were arrested one by one. In the past, this was the realm of immortals that everyone yearned for, but now it was the land of hell that was about to overturn. Those who were tied up and thrown in front of Xian Wu and Ouyang Haoshuan were the remaining elders and direct descendants of the Feng family. They all stared at Ouyang Haoshuan and Xian Wu fiercely. One of the elders with the oldest age and the highest cultivation level was the only remaining nascent soul stage martial artist of the Feng family. He was also the great elder of the Feng family. He glared at Ouyang Haoshuan with a poisonous gaze and said in hatred, "Sinister and shameless boy, if you didn't use despicable means, how could I fall into your hands?" Ouyang Haoshuan's eyes were cold without any fluctuations, but he sneered, "Despicable means? Do you mean that I used your grandson and granddaughter to threaten you? You shameless coward! Fight me if you dare!" Ouyang Haoshuan had a barbed whip in his hand, and he whipped it at the great elder. The voice was cold as if it came from hell. "It turns out that you Feng family also know what shamelessness is. When you tortured my parents and used my parents' death to force out the fire element spirit pearl, did you ever think about what it means to be shameless? Fire element spirit pearl." The great elder's eyes widened suddenly. He looked up and down at Ouyang Haoshuan as if he had seen a ghost. "You're Ouyang Haoshuan? You didn't die. How can it be? Those who trigger the fire element spirit pearl will inevitably be swallowed by the flames and reduced to ashes. Why did Ouyang Haoshuan not die?" Ouyang Haoshuan stepped forward slowly with a half smile. "What? Disappointed to see that I didn't die?" The whip in his hand whipped out with a swoosh. "Great news! We're thrilled to announce a special 7-day trial exclusively on Patreons." Chapter 1469. Revenge Taken. A fiery flame burst out from the end of the whip. The great elder felt a burning pain in his chest. He couldn't help screaming loudly due to the pain. That flame was the real fire of extreme yang that could melt the hardest things in the world. The great elder channeled his spiritual power desperately, almost using half of his fundamental essence to barely be able to extinguish the flame on him. However, he soon discovered that the originally indestructible golden silk on his body had also been burned to ashes. He was free. The great elder laughed loudly. "Ouyang Haoshuan, king of Hell Nangongyu. Just wait for it. When I regroup with the venerable and patriarch, we will definitely tear you to pieces. Today, humiliation you did to our Feng family, we will repay it thousands of times in the future." The great elder and everyone in the Feng family on Wuliang Mountain still didn't know about it. The large force of the Feng family had been completely wiped out in the magical beast forest. Only Venerable Mu Hua, whose half dantian and heart had been hollowed out, managed to escape like a dog. He no longer had any power to resist. The great elder was about to run away after finishing his harsh words. Ouyang Haoshuan just smiled slightly. A quaint and elegant long sword, Red Lotus, slowly appeared in his hand. Just when the great elder thought he was about to reach a teleportation array of the Feng family, Ouyang Haoshuan suddenly soared into the air and gently swung the Red Lotus sword. The great elder who was about to activate the teleportation array suddenly felt a strong crisis. When he turned around, he saw a red flame flashing along the long red sword, which looked like a female saber, and rushing toward him. The great elder wanted to take out his defensive magic weapon, but he couldn't. Only then did he remember that his storage ring had been taken away when he was caught. "It's still fine. Ouyang Haoshuan is only at the gold core stage. I'm at the nascent soul stage intermediate stage. Can it be that my protective shield can't block a gold core stage attack?" The great elder cast his shield. The flame was really blocked by it. Just as the great elder smiled, he suddenly looked shocked. The next moment, the protective shield shattered. Immediately afterward, the flames swept toward him. The overwhelming burning pain made him scream and roll around. Ouyang Haoshuan sneered. His smile was elegant and cruel. All the people present looked at him with weird eyes and kept silent. Apart from the sound of the wind, what they heard was the heart-piercing screams of the great elder who was being burned, but couldn't be burned to death no matter what. Xian Wu swallowed. He looked at Ouyang Haoshuan and said, "Brother Ouyang, have you advanced to the nascent soul stage?" Ouyang Haoshuan nodded, but he did not speak. He just looked at the distant sky. There were white clouds and green mountains towering into the sky, but there was nothing else. But there is also the direction of Jinling Kingdom City, his once warm and happy home. Ouyang Haoshuan closed his eyes, feeling the turbulent emotions beating his heart like waves, but his face was calm. Ouyang Haoshuan felt very reconciled for not being able to skin that bastard Feng Yunjing with his own hands and make him taste the feeling of living hell. However, thinking that it was Shi Yu who killed Feng Yunjing herself, he felt relieved. The revenge has taken, but my family also disappeared. Now, the only thing left for me is Shi Yu. General Xian, Mr. Ouyang. An Iron Kirin soldier said anxiously. Great news. We're thrilled to announce a special 7-day trial exclusively on Patreons. Chapter 1470. Feng Lianing was missing. Ouyang Haoshuan turned around and heard Xian Wu ask, "What happened?" "Feng Lianing is gone." "What?" Xian Wu was startled. This was the person whom the master and the princess had named to capture. How did she escape? The Iron Kirin soldier shook his head and said, "We have known the place where Feng Lianing was imprisoned, but when we arrived, the stone door of that place had been opened. There was no trace of Feng Lianing inside. In addition, we found one less person in the Feng family." "Who is it?" "Nie Jinshin." Xian Wu frowned suddenly. He knew that Nie Jinshin had been secretly in love with Feng Lianing for many years. Could it be that Nie Jinshin rescued Feng Lianing? What should we do now? Xian Wu knew that Feng Lianing and Feng Yunjing were the members of the Feng family that his master wanted to kill the most, but now Feng Lianing actually ran away. Ouyang Haoshuan squinted and said coldly, "I will chase Feng Lianing and Nie Jinshin. I'll leave the matter here to you." "How did you find?" However, before Xian Wu could finish speaking, Ouyang Haoshuan turned into a ball of flame and flew toward the southwest direction. Feeling the incoming scorching flames, Xian Wu took a deep breath. "Ouyang Haoshuan, I remembered that as early as half a year ago, this young man was just an ordinary martial artist at the Gold Core stage intermediate stage. But now, his strength has reached the nascent soul stage. Even when facing him, I feel more pressure than when facing Wuxing. Moreover, the dark aura emanating from this young man seemed to have climbed up from hell, making people shudder when they see his eyes. Ouyang Haoshuan, is he good or bad for the master and princess?" Xian Wu sighed and put all these aside, then he let Iron Kirin continue to sweep Feng family. After tens of millions of years of accumulation, the wealth of the Feng family was unimaginably rich. The master said that all of them would be swept away as a dowry gift for his master to marry the princess. This trip to the magical beast forest, Miracle Healer Academy, suffered a complete failure. Not to mention that the mission was not completed, several students died due to the attack of the magical beasts and the outbreak of the corpse puppet virus. However, because of Shi Yu's return, everyone was full of smiles again. Because in the boundary of the magical beast forest, everyone dared not fly, fearing to trigger the attack of those beastkins, so they could only leave the magical beast forest first, then they took the airship to Miracle Healer Academy. Of course Hashi knew that those beastkins would not attack them again, but in the confinement space, many students lost their relatives and friends because of the magical beast's attack. Hashi would be stupid to say that she had a good relationship with the beastkins. While walking, there was a weak cry for help not far away. Immediately afterward, a disheveled woman stumbled over and fell in front of Deputy Dean Jiang. After seeing the face of the person, the The student standing in the front row couldn't help exclaiming, "Lu Jishi?" The girl who asked for help was Lu Jishi. She looked very miserable at this time. The clothes on her body were tattered. There were wounds caused by branches all over her body. But the strange thing was that the disgusting rotten wound on her face before she disappeared was gone. Lu Jishi's appearance was delicate and beautiful now. Although there were many wounds on her body, instead of looking ugly, she looked more pitiful and alluring. Great news! We're thrilled to announce a special 7-day trial exclusively on Patreons. Chapter 1471, Shriveled Corpse. In particular, Lu Jishi's clothes were tattered, revealing her pretty chest. Her thighs were even more glistening in the sun. Several young men couldn't help swallowing after seeing her in such a state. The people at Huang Medical Branch hated Lu Jishi to the bone. This woman wanted to make trouble for Shi Yu when she was breaking through. She almost killed all of them with outsiders. Now she still had the nerve to pretend to be pitiful? Qian Dezhuang spat out a mouthful of phlegm at Lu Jishi's half-exposed chest and said with disgust, "Bah! Help what? I haven't settled the scores with you yet. You dare to scream for help? Who are you trying to fool?" Lu Jishi looked at the mouthful of phlegm sticking to her skin, and she almost vomited in disgust. However, Lu Jishi finally forced himself to endure it, wiped his tears, and cried in panic, "Beastkin! There was a beastkin who killed everyone in front. They all died miserably. I'm so scared." Woo woo woo. Deputy Dean Jiang and the others were shocked when they heard this. Many students showed panicked expressions. Do those beastkins really plan not to let us go? They want to kill us all in the magical beast forest? Wei Chengyuan frowned and said, "You said there was a beastkin killing people? What kind of beastkin? How many people were killed? How did you escape?" Lu Jishi shook her head with tearful eyes. "I don't know what beastkin is it. I only saw the shadow of a monster. He kidnapped us, then he killed the elders of the Doctors Association and the students of the Pioneer Branch. Ooh, I was lucky to escape from death." Wei Qingyuan squinted and glanced at Lu Jishi. He felt that the woman was lying. Zheng Shuyue stroked his beard and said, "Tie up Lu Jishi first, then let's go to the place," she said. In any case, Lu Jishi colluded with the Doctors Association, so she couldn't escape from the crime of murdering her classmates. When they arrived at the place Lu Jishi mentioned, everyone couldn't help but gasp when they saw the shriveled corpses there. 8 martial artists at the nascent soul stage and a few at the gold core stage were all sucked into mummies. What kind of spell is this, and what beastkin did it? Hushi frowned when she saw the corpses. She took a few steps forward and examined the dantians and meridians of the mummies. Sure enough, their spiritual power and vitality disappeared completely. Rather than saying it was done by the beastkin, it was done by a terrifying devouring force. Hushi raised her head and glanced at Nangongyu. They saw a trace of shock and understanding in each other's eyes. It was Lu Shuyang. Because Nangongyu hurt Lu Shuyang absorbed the vitality of these people. This mean is so ruthless. He didn't even let go of his subordinates. Jiang Din Jishi was just confused. She was coerced by the Doctors Association at that time, so she did that stupid act. "Dean, please forgive her." "Yeah. What's more, isn't Sia doing well now? Jishi has suffered such a disaster. No matter how serious the crime is, it should be cleared. Dean, don't you think so?" The anxious and pity voices of the students of the Pioneer Branch came from behind. Heshi turned around and saw a young man of the Pioneer Branch helping Lu Jishi, who was tied up. Lu Jishi's clothes were half uncovered. Her frail and boneless body leaned against the young man's body. Her soft chest rubbed against the young man's arm, making him flush and infatuated. Great news! We're thrilled to announce a special 7-day trial exclusively on Patreons. Chapter 1472, Fabricate Lies. The young man became even more indignant, feeling that he was protecting the weak president. "Dean, Jishi has worked hard as the president of the Academy Student Council, and she has done a lot for the Academy. Even if she hasn't done anything particularly noteworthy, she has still made great efforts. Are you going to sacrifice Jishi just for Shiyu? Bah! Qian Dezhuang couldn't listen anymore. He cursed, "This ruthless bitch, did she just make a little mistake? She literally wanted to kill Shiyu. Why should we let her go? Have you forgotten how many people died from the corpse puppet virus because of her?" When Lu Zixi heard Qian Dezhuang's words, crystal tears welled up in her eyes. She looked extremely pitiful. She walked up to Heshi slowly and knelt down toward Heshi with a plop. "Shiyu, I admit that I was blinded by hatred before. I was threatened by the elders of the Doctors Association, so I did something that hurt you. But these things, including poisoning the people of Miracle Healer Academy, were all done by Elder Qi and the others on their own initiative. I just couldn't help myself. It has nothing to do with my father either. I hate you so much only because I'm angry that you seduced the King of Hell, spoke ill of me in front of the King of Hell, made the King of Hell despise me, but he instead likes a man like you. That would make him be condemned by everyone in the world." Lu Zixi cried more and more sadly. "Now I know that I was wrong. For the sake of giving His Highness King of Hell to you, please forgive me. From now on, I will never compete with you again." Heshi half smiled and looked up at Nangong Yu. "You give him to me?" Nangong Yu stared coldly at the more alluring woman who deliberately twisted her body to reveal her chest line, and his aura suddenly burst out. "Dare to fabricate lies in front of me and Shir, this woman must be tired of living." The pitiful Lu Zixi who was crying was stiff all over as if she was suddenly poured by a basin of ice water in winter. Nangong Yu grabbed her neck and lifted her up high. His dark eyes were as deep as the abyss. "If you dare, you can say one more sentence. You said that you have something to do with King of Hell? You said that Shir took the King of Hell from you? Sorry, why don't I know about this?" You are... Lu Zixi spoke with difficulty. Her feet kicked desperately, trying to struggle out of Nangong Yu's grasp. Nangong Yu suddenly took off the mask on his face. All of a sudden, everyone's eyes were on his face, and there was a neat gasp. God, how could there be such a handsome and graceful man in the world? The sun shone on his handsome and delicate face and on his nose bridge, seeming to cast a layer of golden light on him. Just a light sweep of the deep starry eyes made people's legs tremble. They wished they could crawl on the ground and lick his shoes. It was clear that the students who would enter Miracle Healer Academy were the most proud and elite geniuses of Miluo continent, but these geniuses were inconspicuous in front of this man. It's King of Hell Nangong Yu," someone exclaimed in surprise. Then everyone's eyes lit up and they couldn't help staring at him excitedly. "This is King of Hell Nangong Yu, the god of war who broke through the nascent soul stage when he was less than 20 years old. The first genius of the Miluo continent." Even Lu Zixi, whose throat was clutched by Nangong Yu, was stunned. Her frightened eyes turned into fascination. She stared blankly at the handsome and beautiful face in front. "Great news! We're thrilled to announce a special 7-day trial exclusively on Patreons." Chapter 1473. These idiots. Nangong Yu slowly tightened his hand on Lu Zixi's neck. There was a cruel smile on his mouth. "What are you? You have the nerve to say that I have an affair with you. You aren't even worth lifting Sierra's shoes." There was a horrible clicking sound from the tightly squeezed throat. The obsession in Lu Zixi's eyes turned into fear again, as well as deep jealousy and resentment. Seeing that Lu Zixi was about to be strangled to death, the dean from the pioneer branch of Miracle Healer Academy quickly stood up and shouted nervously, "Your Royal Highness King of Hell, please be merciful. Zixi is still a student of our Miracle Healer Academy. Please," Deputy Dean Jiang also said nervously, "please let us handle her, King of Hell." No matter how much Deputy Dean Jiang and the others hated the Doctors Association now, as long as Lu Shuyang still existed, they would not be able to directly confront the Doctors Association, so Lu Zixi must be kept. As for the enmity with the Doctors Association, of course they would find a way to avenge it. Nangong Yu sneered and shook his hand. Lu Zixi was thrown out like rubbish, hit a tree hard, and then spat out a mouthful of blood. Nangong Yu said coldly without even looking at her, "Don't appear in front of Shir again and stop your dirty tricks, otherwise I will let you know what is worse than death." After finishing speaking, he hugged Shiyu, flew up, and flew out of the magical beast forest. No one would doubt whether a magical beast would come to attack Nangongyu, because he could instantly kill nascent soul stage martial artists. Those beastkins would be stupid enough to provoke them. Everyone who stayed in place looked at each other in dismay and shock. Zhang Yi suddenly exclaimed, "It turned out that the unattractive brother guard was disguised by King of Hell Nangongyu. No wonder. How can the brother guard be worthy of brother Shiyu? Hehe, I think King of Hell looks better than Senior Xianmu." Qian Dezhuang immediately retorted, "What's the use of being good-looking? I think Senior Xianmu is stronger and more reliable. I think it's better for Shiyu to choose Senior Xianmu." Wei Chengyuan, you idiots! Don't you realize something wrong in this? King of Hell is a man, Xianmu is a man, and Shiyu is a man. Jin Ziyu's cold eyes swept across Lu Zhishi not far away, who was wiping tears and accepting comfort from the students of the Pioneer Branch, and he frowned slightly. I remember that before Lu Zhishi left, she was poisoned by the corpse puppet virus. The wound on her face couldn't be healed with spiritual power. Why did she recover after just one day? Why does she still come back in a servile manner? She even doesn't hesitate to let the students of the Pioneer Branch to plead for her. What exactly is she trying to do? Jin Ziyu and Wei Chengyuan looked at each other, and they both saw the solemnity in each other's eyes. Jin Ziyu said to Chen Xiaofeng, who was beside him, after returning to the academy, "Pay close attention to Lu Zhishi's movements. Remember to tell me and Wei Chengyuan if there is anything unusual." The news of the extermination of the Feng family swept through the entire Miluo continent like a hurricane. In the past few years, the Feng family had done all kinds of bad deeds with their overwhelming strength. They had killed countless people and destroyed many sections. Now that the Feng family had been wiped out, many people were secretly laughing. Some people bowed down to the grassy tomb, thanking God for avenging their vengeance. Jiang Huai, who lost his wife and son in Sealed Dragon Domain and had been making recording talismans for Heshi, was one of them. Great news! We're thrilled to announce a special 7-day trial exclusively on Patreons. Chapter 1474. Turned hostile. However, Jiang Huai did not know that Feng Lianying was not dead yet. But now, she was not much better than death. Feng Lianying escaped from Feng family and wanted to go to the extreme northern Iceland, where her master, the master of the Thousand Poison Valley, lived. But where was the land of the extreme northern Iceland? It at least took more than half a month to travel even with the fastest airship. Feng family and Thousand Poison Valley originally had a teleportation array, but it required a large amount of high-grade crystal stones. But now, Feng family was destroyed and was surrounded by the Iron Kirin. If Feng Lianying wanted to go to Thousand Poison Valley, she could only fly there. Nie Jinshin had been by Feng Lianying's side, accompanying her to the Iceland. This also made Feng Lianying feel better. At least her charm really completely fascinated Nie Jinshin. Even at this time, Nie Jinshin didn't leave her. However, without the crystal stones, Feng Lianying couldn't even get a good rest under the pursuit of the King of Hell Mansion and Shengde Hall all over the continent. Her storage device was even confiscated when she was confined. How could a noble lady like Feng Lianying endure such a life? At dusk, they landed in a mountain field. Feng Lianying couldn't bear this hard life anymore, and she angrily shouted at Nie Jinshin, "You trash can't even find a spiritual food. Do you want me to starve to death on the way? Or do you think that I have lost power now, so you don't take me seriously? Let me tell you, after turning over this mountain, we will reach the Iceland where my master lives. When I get there, I will let you suffer." Nie Jinshin's eyes dimmed with a hint of ruthlessness. But he still showed a gentle smile and said, "Lianying, don't be angry. I'll get you some fruit and water." Feng Lianying cursed a few more times. Seeing Nie Jinshin walk away, she took out her dagger and stabbed it into the ground, cursing, "Shiyu, Shiyu, you must die. I will let you die terribly." Nie Jinshin quickly brought back the water along with a few shriveled fruits. Feng Lianying took the fruits with a cold face, took a bite with disgust on his face, then spat on the ground, Is this even edible? Nye Jinshin, why are you so useless? However, Nye Jinshin still had a good-tempered smile. She fed the water to Feng Lianying's mouth and gave her a spirit-healing pill. Watching her eat the pill, he sneered. Feng Lianying didn't know when she fell asleep, but she only remembered that she lost consciousness after drinking the water. When she regained consciousness, she only felt incomparably severe pain in her limbs and lower abdomen. She couldn't help crying immediately due to the pain. Nye Jinshin's laughing voice suddenly came from above. Feng Lianing, how is the feeling of dantian being abolished and the tendons and veins of limbs being severed? Does it feel good? Feng Lianing widened her eyes and looked at the man looking down at her in disbelief. Nye Jinshin, what did you do to me? What did I do? Nye Jinshin sneered with a sinister gaze. I abolished your cultivation. From now on, you, Feng Lianing, are no longer the miss of the Feng family, but a trash that can be bullied and trampled at will. How could you treat me like this? Feng Lianing mobilized dantian, feeling a burning pain instead of spiritual power. She suddenly panicked. Nye Jinshin, how dare you do this to me? Are you not afraid that my master will rip you apart? Chapter 1475. So vicious. Nye Jinshin laughed loudly, then his face twisted. He kicked Feng Lianing hard. Feng Lianing screamed in pain. Until she finally couldn't take it anymore, she begged for mercy. Nye Jinshin smiled and said, Don't worry, I will crush your throat, blind your eyes and destroy your face later, then I will sell you to the barbaric tribe in the extreme north. At that time, no one will know that you, Feng Lianing, are still alive. And I will take your token to Thousand Poison Valley and tell the master of Thousand Poison Valley that you have been killed by Nangongyu. At that time, I will get the true inheritance of the master of Thousand Poison Valley. You, Feng Lianing, will be tortured for the rest of your life in that barren land and wait for your miserable death. Feng Lianing's eyes widened in horror. She couldn't believe her ears. She looked up at Nye Jinshin's distorted face as if she didn't know this man who was once obsessed with her. Feng Lianing was extremely angry and hated, wishing to rip Nye Jinshin apart. However, at this moment, her heart was occupied by fear the most. Her face was wet with tears. She wanted to grab the corner of Nye Jinshin's robe, but found that her hands were in severe pain. Her tendons were actually severed. Feng Lianing was even more frightened. She couldn't help crying, Nye Jinshin, don't you like me? Why are you doing this to me? I like you too. I'm willing to spend the rest of my life with you. Can you let me go? Nye Jinshin lowered his head, looked at her with disgust and sneered, Like me? If you like me, you will command me like a dog? If you like me, you will push me into the magical beasts and let me be your scapegoat? Feng Lianing, don't flatter yourself. Do you think that I will still like you after you were tarnished by those men? Let me tell you, I hate you to the extreme on the way here. I follow you because I want to let you taste what it's like to be a dog with my own hands and see your miserable end. Nye Jinshin, how can you be so vicious? Feng Lianing screamed loudly, You will not succeed. Even if you take my token, my master will. Before Feng Lianing finished speaking, Nye Jinshin had cut her throat. Feng Lianing widened her mouth, but she could only make a broken and desperate sound. Nye Jinshin sneered and said, Listening to your voice for a moment longer makes me sick. Feng Lianing, the people from the barbaric tribe I contacted will come here soon. Your hell is waiting for you. Feng Lianing stared in horror, watching Nye Jinshin's sword stabbing toward her eyes. A miserable scream sounded through the sky. With Feng Lianing's deep resentment and unwillingness, and the despair of never turning back. Ouyang Haoshuan followed Feng Lianing's trail all the way, and he flew to the extreme northern Iceland. But after arriving at the extreme northern Iceland, the clues were divided into two. One was in the direction of the jungle, and the other was deep in the glacier. Ouyang Haoshuan only thought for a moment, then he went to the jungle. After flying for a certain distance, he saw a barbaric tribe. The people here were all dressed in animal skins and bone ornaments, lived in caves and houses made of mud embryos, and had spiritual power. However, most of them were only at the chi refining stage and the foundation establishment stage. Chapter 1476. The ending of Feng Lianying. These people were startled when they saw Ouyang Haoshuan. They all made exclaims of unknown meanings. This was their language. Ouyang Haoshuan couldn't understand. He stood on the canopy and soon saw a woman placed in the center of the altar. The woman was completely naked. There were blood stains of severed tendons on her hands and feet, her face was sliced several times, her one eye was gouged out, and the other eye was full of fear and despair. She opened her mouth trying to speak, but she could only make a click sound. There were several men wrapped in animal skins surrounding her, taking out copper-sharp knives as if they wanted to cut off the flesh from the woman as a sacrificial offering. Ouyang Haoshuan appeared on top of the altar and glanced as the woman who was being sacrificed. As soon as the woman saw him, her only eye immediately widened, her broken throat made a clicking sound, and her body began to struggle violently. There was pleading in her tearful eyes. Ouyang Haoshuan slightly sneered. Even a fool could see the joy in his eyes. Feng Lianying? This really is a suitable ending for you. Good luck then. After laughing, Ouyang Haoshuan jumped up and flew straight toward the glacier. On Feng Lianying's side, the tribesmen who had stopped the sacrificial activities after being frightened were finally relieved. Some of them lit a fire, some danced in feathered clothes, and some took a knife to slice off Feng Lianying's meat piece by piece. There was peace and tranquility beyond the deep mountains. No one knew that the former miss of the Feng family, the sought-after Ice Lotus Fairy, was suffering her tragic ending here. The temperature in the extreme northern Iceland was below -40 to 50 degrees all year round. Even high-level martial artists would not be able to withstand it if they stayed here for a long time. Nie Jinshin's already cold teeth were chattering. His eyebrows and hair were covered with frost. However, he had been searching here for a day, but he still hadn't found the entrance to Thousand Poison Valley. The Thousand Poison Valley token found on Feng Lianying did not respond either. If he still couldn't find the place, he would freeze to death here. As he was thinking about whether to leave the glacier first and think of a way, suddenly, a flaming red sword light rushed toward him. Nie Jinshin was frightened. He hurriedly channeled spiritual power to move back, but the flames still brushed against his shoulder. Severe burning pain came from his shoulder, and he couldn't help screaming. Ouyang Haoshuan slowly descended from the sky with the red lotus sword in his hand. The thin clothes rattled fiercely in the glacier. It was obviously -50 degrees, but Ouyang Haoshuan didn't seem to feel the cold at all. There was even a leisurely smile on his handsome face. Ouyang Haoshuan, Nie Jinshin exclaimed, Why are you here? What do you want to do? Ouyang Haoshuan smiled faintly with a bloodthirsty gleam in his eyes. What am I doing here? Of course, I'm here to wipe out the members of the Feng family. But I'm not from the Feng family. Nie Jinshin felt deep fear. He remembered that the young master of the Ouyang family was only at the gold core stage, but the person standing in front of him gave him the illusion that he was completely unmatched. I even also killed Feng Lianying. I even avenge your Ouyang family. The Feng family you want to kill has nothing to do with me. Chapter 1477. Master of Thousand Poison Valley. Ouyang Haoshuan squinted slightly and said with a light smile, Yeah, you're not from the Feng family, and you didn't harm me either. But, you once wanted to kill Shiyu, right? I'm really sorry. Everyone who wanted to kill Shiyu should all die. Before Ouyang Haoshuan finished speaking, he already soared into the sky, and the red lotus sword was shining with dazzling fire and rushing toward Nie Jinshin. Nie Jinshin's eyes widened in horror. The flames were about to hit his face, and the fiery aura seemed to burn his skin. Suddenly, there was a ding. A white light flashed and deflected the red lotus sword. Ouyang Haoshuan stepped back more than 10 meters and looked at a group of people in white clothes who suddenly appeared not far away. The leader was a slender woman in white. She had a white veil covering her face, revealing only a pair of soul-stirring watery eyes. However, the woman in white was not standing, she was sitting on top of a giant unicorn. Around her were several handsome, slender young men with cold expressions and 2 women who had veils on their faces. As soon as Nye Jinshin saw the woman in white, he cried and rushed over, "Valley Master, help, help me!" Ouyang Haoshuan frowned slightly, and his heart tightened. He had heard about the relationship between the Valley Master of the Thousand Poison Valley and the Feng family from Shiyu. She was Feng Lianying's master and the most mysterious person in the entire Miluo continent. Bai who once said that the master of the Thousand Poison Valley was actually not belonged to the Miluo continent, but from the upper realm. The woman in white looked down at Nye Jinshin who was rushing in front of her, and she suddenly raised her bare hand. The Thousand Poison Valley token in Nye Jinshin's arms was in her hand. Nye Jinshin's eyes flashed, and he cried even more mournfully, "Valley Master, please avenge the Feng family and Sister Lianing." The Feng family was wiped out by the King of Hell Mansion and Sister Lianing was brutally murdered by Nangongyu and Shiyu. They are really miserable. I want to revenge, but I'm not Nangongyu's opponent. I was even hunted by them to this extreme north. Please help me, Valley Master. The eyes of the woman in white froze. She jumped off the unicorn. The young man next to her immediately stepped forward and served her attentively, looking at her with eyes filled with passion and love. The woman in white seemed to be used to such a scene. She rubbed the token in her hand and said to Nye Jinshin, "You said Feng family was destroyed and Lianing died too? And it was Nangongyu who did it? How did Nangongyu have such power?" "Valley Master, it's true," Nye Jinshin said hastily. "This has spread in the entire Miluo continent. Everyone knows that it was Nangongyu who exterminated the Feng family. Moreover, the person who eliminated Lu Li sect was also Nangongyu. Nangongyu, this ungrateful bastard. If the Feng family hadn't saved him, he would have died long ago. However, he turned against Feng family just because of Shiyu, and he even wiped out the Feng family. Valley Master, Sister Lianing died so miserably, you must avenge her." Did Nye Jinshin hate Nangongyu? Of course, he did, and he hated him to the extreme. He had a crush on Feng Lianing since he was a child, but Feng Lianing treated him like a dog for Nangongyu. She didn't care about his life or death at all. In Feng family and Lu Li sect, although he was a senior and he had been talented since he was a child, no one had ever taken him seriously. Because in everyone's mind, the real genius was only Nangongyu. Not even Feng Yunjing could be compared with him. Chapter 1478. Old Woman. Therefore, Nye Jinshin hated Feng Lianing and wanted this woman to end miserably, but he hated Nangongyu even more. In his dreams, he wanted to see Nangongyu fall into the abyss and end up in the same desperation as him. "Nangong," the woman in white murmured in a trance, then she looked at Nye Jinshin with her beautiful eyes. "Shiyu, is he Nangongyu's favorite toy boy?" Nye Jinshin was taken aback. He knew that Shiyu was a woman, but when he heard the woman in white asking, he said without hesitation, "That's right, Nangongyu disregards the ethical guidelines just for a toy boy. Obviously, Sister Lianing grew up with him, but he even killed Sister Lianing for a toy boy. You said it was Nangongyu who killed Lianing." The woman in white suddenly chuckled. She suddenly injected spiritual power into the token. The next moment, a white light curtain appeared in front of Nye Jinshin. It showed the scene of Nye Jinshin crushing Feng Lianing's throat, stabbing her blind in one eye, and selling her to the barbarian tribe. Nye Jinshin's eyes widened in horror. His body trembled with fear. The girl standing behind the woman in white sneered and said, "Where do you think our Thousand Poison Valley is, and what is the token of Thousand Poison Valley? Do you think anyone can simply impersonate? You sold my senior sister and wanted to blame Nangongyu. Nye Jinshin, do you really think my master is so easy to be deceived?" "Valley Master, Valley Master." Nye Jinshin snapped back to his senses. He knelt and crawled toward the woman in white. "Valley Master, I know I was wrong, but I really didn't kill Feng Lianing. I can take you there to look for her. Please let me go." The woman in white frowned in disgust. The girl beside her immediately took a step forward and sprinkled medicinal powder on him. Before Nie Jinshin finished begging for mercy, he suddenly let out a shrill scream. Immediately afterward, his body slowly turned into a pile of mud at a speed visible to the naked eye. The flesh and blood were evaporated in the freezing cold. What was left was a black lump of suspicious objects that exuded the smell of corpses. The girl didn't feel disgusted at all, but she said happily, "Master, our man-eating flowers have fertilizer again." As she spoke, she collected the lump of black stuff and put it into her portable void. In the portable void, there was a field of tens of acres, on which various spiritual plants were planted. One of the plants was like sunflower-like flower, but the center of the flower was a ferocious human face. The girl put Nie Jinshin's corpse on the field ridge and threw in a black seed. Immediately, a huge flower with Nie Jinshin's face appeared in the field, revealing a ferocious and distorted smile in the light of the void crystal stone. The woman in white looked at Ouyang Haoshuan. The soul-stirring eyes scanned Ouyang Haoshuan from top to bottom, then she suddenly smiled and said, "I don't care who you are, as long as you are willing to become my toy boy, I will let you go and let you have a better future." As the woman in white spoke, she slowly approached Ouyang Haoshuan. Her eyes reflected a tempting brilliant. "My patience is not very good. Now, can you give me an answer?" Ouyang Haoshuan chuckled, which was obviously an elegant and lazy move, but the smile in his eyes contained deep irony. "I'm so sorry, I'm not interested in serving an old woman. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Chapter 1479, Old Cow Chewing Tender Grass. The woman in white stopped. Her gaze became blurred and distant. Looking at the handsome man in front of her, she seemed to see the tall and straight man with an evil smile decades ago. That was the first time I was so obsessed with a man, wanted him so much, wanted to possess him. I even let go of my airs as a young lady and humbled myself, hoping to gain his affection and become his wife. But what did Nangong Outyin respond to me? It was the unhesitating contempt and sarcasm, the dismissive eyes that treated me like a trash. That man even married low-rank martial artists who had no background or strength at all, threw my heart into the mud, trampled and humiliated me, and made me the laughingstock of the entire Siam continent. Nangong Outyin and Yun Charan, these two people who brought me unforgettable hatred. I will never forget them in my life. Even if the two of them die, so what? The child will pay off their debt. I will let the son of that bitch, Yun Charan, taste the pain of despair and torture like hell. Lu Wushuang took a deep breath and looked at Ouyang Haoshuan again. This man's appearance is not as good as Nangong Outyin's, but the evil enchanting aura exuding from him is so similar to Nangong Outyin's. I must let this proud man bow his head, kneel and lick my toes, and become my captive. Thinking of this, Lu Wushuang sneered slightly. Are you Shiyu's subordinate? I heard that Shiyu is only at the foundation establishment stage. You, a martial artist at the nascent soul stage, are willing to follow behind a foundation establishment stage? You are also seduced by that toy boy? She suddenly waved her hand lightly, removing the veil on her face. A beautiful face was revealed. What do you think? Is my appearance comparable to Shiyu's? If I say I can give you more than Shiyu, can improve your strength, and let you enjoy the otherworldly feeling, are you willing to abandon Shiyu and follow me? Ouyang Haoshuan looked down at her face. His eyes were calm without any expression. Lu Wushuang wasn't reconciled, so she waved behind her. Two young men immediately came forward. One kissed Lu Wushuang's fingers reverently, the other sniffed the fragrance of Lu Wushuang's body intoxicatedly, and a pair of trembling hands stroked Lu Wushuang's soft waist and body. They both breathed heavily. Although the scene in front was not an entanglement of bodies, it could make the blood of all the men surge. The other toy boys behind Lu Wushuang already had fiery eyes, eager to rush up and replace them. Lu Wushuang's heart was full of certainty. Except for Nangong Outyin, no man in the world can resist such beauty. As long as Ouyang Haoshuan is enchanted, I can completely make this man my captive. Ouyang Haoshuan watched this scene for a long time, and he finally sneered and let out a low laugh. Lu Wushuang originally raised her head, making a slight seductive moaning motion. Ouyang Haoshuan sneered, "It's really disgusting to see a group of tender grass being chewed by an old cow. You guys go ahead. I won't bother you." After speaking, he turned and left ruthlessly. Lu Wushuang was astounded. The anger in her chest gushed out, almost distorting her entire face. Suddenly, she shouted, transfigure an ice sword in her hand, and rushed toward Ouyang Haoshuan, court death. Chapter 1480. Broken arm. Ouyang Haoshuan's eyes focused, and the red lotus sword soared into the sky, going at Lu Wushuang's attack without hesitation. After 15 minutes, everything in the glacier returned to tranquility. However, there was a big puddle of blood and a severed arm on the glacier. The blood even splashed all over Lu Wushuang's body, reflecting Lu Wushuang's livid face. Lu Wushuang's disciples and toy boys tremble with fear. Lu Wushuang gritted her teeth and looked at the broken arm on the ground in disbelief. Never mind that he rejected my lure, but when my ice prison was about to trap him, he actually used flames to cut off the ice prison together with his own arm without hesitation. Then he quickly ran away. Even when he gave up his arm, there was a gentle smile on his mouth as if he was missing something interesting, as if what he gave up was not an arm at all, but an insignificant piece of garbage. Could. Lu Wushuang gritted her teeth and sneered, "Shiyu? I want to see who can make Nangong Yu and make other men fall in love with him to such extent. What kind of fox is he? Ouyang Haoshuan, we shall see. Do you think you can escape from my palm?" The girl behind Lu Wushuang took a step forward and asked cautiously, "Master, shall we go save senior sister Feng?" "Save her?" Lu Wushuang sneered. Her face was full of disgust and sarcasm. "She can't even deal with a man. What a waste of all my hard work on her in the past few years. This kind of trash deserves to end up like that." The huge airship landed slowly on the square of Miracle Healer Academy. At this time, the Miracle Healer Academy was already crowded with people. Even Dean Jean Liqing, who seldom appeared in public, was standing on the high platform of the square, looking nervously at the huge airship above the sky. The hatch of the airship opened, and students and elders descended from the sky one by one. Seeing that almost 90% of the people returned safely, Jean Liqing was finally relieved. After the students left, he got Golden Wolf's plan from above. Golden Wolf actually used his students and elders as bait to hunt the beastkins in the magical beast forest. When Jean Liqing heard the news, he lost balance as if he was struck by lightning. He never expected that the people in Mojing Pavilion could be so ruthless. He never expected that a compromise of his own would send all the students into hell. However, Jean Liqing did not expect that he would receive a message from Deputy Dean Jiang 2 days ago. The students and elders were all fine, only a few died. The others were on their way back safely. How could he not be excited and nervous? Many of the students who landed from the sky couldn't help sobbing when they saw the familiar scenery and friends in front of them. Some, who were emotionally sensitive, even threw themselves into the arms of their friends and burst into tears. This short half-month seemed like a nightmare to them. They thought they were going to die, but they narrowly escaped death and returned. Jean Liqing excitedly grabbed Deputy Dean Jiang's hand and asked him about his experience in the magical beast forest. When he heard Deputy Dean Jiang say that the Doctors Association was the accomplice behind the scenes, and they were finally rescued because of Shiyu, he just felt incredible. Jean Liqing looked around, trying to find Shiyu and ask him about his situation, but she was no longer around. Chapter 1481. Are you jealous again? Zheng Shouyue stopped Jean Liqing from asking Shiyu to come and said with a sullen face, "Dean, we must discuss how to deal with those greedy guys from the upper realm. If we continue to be enslaved by them like this, not to mention those innocent students, even the tens of thousands of years of Miracle Healer Academy might be destroyed at once." Jean Liqing's expression froze. He nodded, greeted several branch deans and Deputy Dean Jiang, and walked toward the dean room. At this time, He had returned to the dormitory with Nan Gongyu. Nan Gongyu had already made up his mind to go back to organize the wedding with He, so he planned to have a deep, intimate moment with her at the dormitory. Then he would leave quickly. However, as soon as he returned to the dormitory, Nan Gongyu's face turned gloomy. In the empty and simple dormitory, there was a man with a stern expression and a black robe. Who else would he be, if he wasn't Xian Mu, who disappeared in the teleportation array in the magical beast forest? He was also surprised to see Xian Mu, but more happy. She was worried that Xian Mu would be sent into the turbulence of time and space in the teleportation array. When did you come back? Xian Mu's expression was as cold as ever, but his gloomy eyes looked deeply at He before saying faintly, 3 days ago. Seeing that he didn't want to mention the matter in the magical beast forest, He didn't intend to ask more. She was about to walk over to clean her bed with the dust removal technique. Nan Gongyu was not happy. He gritted his teeth. Sheer, are you going to continue staying with him in this dormitory after I leave? He blinked, looking at the man with a livid face. There was a hint of smile in his eyes. Nan Gongyu, are you jealous again? I think I should explain, but His Highness King of Hell, who cares about me so much and is as unhappy as a child who can't eat the candy, is very cute. Should I remind him that in the past few months, I have been alone with Xian Mu day and night? It's better not to, lest he really get mad. He grabbed Nan Gongyu's hand with a gentle smile. Should I apply to transfer to a single dormitory? Nan Gongyu was taken aback for a moment. Realizing that He was compromising with him, a happy smile emerged uncontrollably in his eyes. He was about to agree, but Xian Mu's cold voice came from beside him. If you want Shiyu's dormitory door to be trampled down by the whole academy, you can let him move. Nan Gongyu's words stuck in his throat. Then that peerless handsome face turned gloomy bit by bit. Yes, how can I forget that? How popular my Shi'er is in this Miracle Healer Academy. It's okay to share a room with Xian Mu since other people dare not disturb at will. If she switches to a single dormitory, will there be little white faces like Wei Chengyuan and Jin Xiu coming to her door every night and putting their arms on Xieyu's shoulder without any scruples? Thinking of this, Nan Gongyu seemed to be drowned in jealousy. He wished to hide his princess from anyone. Nan Gongyu took a deep breath and glanced coldly at Xian Mu, then he lightly pressed his hand on He's shoulder and said in hatred, moving the dormitory is not necessary. But I will let Qing Luan move in. He couldn't help laughing out loud. Nan Gongyu couldn't hear it. In her void, the little traitor Little Egg kept shouting, "Don't worry, Daddy. Little Egg will definitely protect Mother's chastity. I will never let this black-faced guy and others people take advantage of Mom." Chapter 1482. Friend He coughed lightly and nodded obediently. Okay, I will listen to you. Nan Gongyu stared at her with deep reluctance and love in his eyes. He hugged her soft body into his arms tightly. Sheer, I really want to hold you forever and never separate from you. He leaned obediently in Nan Gongyu's arms, wrapping his waist lightly. There was a happy smile on her lips. When I go back, I will start planning our marriage. I will tell them that you are the only one I want to marry. Nan Gongyu whispered, Sheer, wait for me. Don't reject me, okay? Tell them? Poor they. He was slightly stunned, but she didn't speak yet. Nan Gongyu let go of her and quickly disappeared as if deliberately not giving her a chance to refuse the marriage proposal. He smiled helplessly. Her expression was full of sweetness and dotting. She completely forgot the questions in her mind. Turning around, she met Xian Mu's deep and complicated eyes. He did not explore the meaning in Xian Mu's eyes, but she raised her hand and threw a bottle of medicine to Xian Mu. This is the grade 6 meridian cleansing pill I just refined. Nan Gongyu has already tried it. It also works a little bit for the soul-splitting stage. On the airship, He was idle and bored, so she tried to refine higher-grade medicinal pills in the void. Sure enough, after her cultivation had improved, it became easy for her to refine grade 6 medicinal pills. Even, Heshi felt that it was no problem for her to refine grade 7 medicinal pills. It's just that it took too long to refine grade 7 medicinal pills. She hadn't had a chance to try it yet. Xian Mu took the medicinal pills, and his eyes became more complicated. How do you know? Heshi smiled. I'm at least a doctor who is better than the president of the Doctors Association. Will I not notice your injury? This injury was the same as Nangong Yu's, which was obviously caused by being strangled by the force of space during the teleportation process. Nangong Yu's injury had healed automatically when absorbing Jade Fire Toad, but Xian Mu's injury was obviously not healed yet. Xian Mu looked down at the porcelain bottle in his hand, and his gaze looked distant. Why did you help me? Heshi raised her eyebrows with a look of surprise. It seems like you helped me over and over again first. I don't like to owe favors. I thought you would treat me as a friend. Is it not? Xian Mu raised his head abruptly. His expression looked stiff and unbearable. After a while, he closed his eyes, opened the porcelain bottle, poured a medicine and swallowed it. Heshi smiled. Accepting help without saying thank you, isn't this treating me as a friend? She didn't say anything more. She jumped onto the bed, threw herself into the warm and soft blanket, and fell into a deep sleep. This time, her consciousness didn't even sink into the void. She just simply fell asleep. In the past 10 days, she was really tired. Not only physically tired, but also mentally tired. All she wanted now was to get a good night's sleep. Xian Mu looked at her slender back for a long time before returning to his bed. At this moment, he had already made up his mind. Regardless of whether the wood source was related to Shiyu or not, no matter what Shiyu's real identity was, he would not investigate further. He acted as if he didn't know anything, and Shiyu was just his roommate, his friend. Friend, how rare and distant is this to him? Chapter 1483, Real backer in the Dean Room of the Miracle Healer Academy, Jean Liqing, with a gloomy face, listened to the narration of Deputy Dean Jiang and others. Putting aside Golden Wolf's ruthlessness, he did not expect that the Doctors Association and Lu Shuyang would be so despicable and shameless. They used their Miracle Healer Academy students and elders as stepping stones. As for what Lu Zhishi said that Lu Shuyang didn't know, he didn't believe a word. The current Doctors Association was under the total command of Lu Shuyang. It was a big joke to say that Lu Shuyang had no knowledge of what the elders of the association had done. However, Lu Shuyang was backed by people from the upper realm. This time, the upper realm asked them to capture the Beastkin, but they didn't catch a single one. Golden Wolf and his people would definitely not let this end well. Li Qingchuan from Heaven Medical Branch was the most irritable. He couldn't help but slap the table and said angrily, "Is there really nothing we can do after being used by those bastards of the Doctors Association? At least that little bastard Lu Zhishi, we must throw her into Spirit Extinct Valley and let her suffer punishment." Spirit Extinct Valley was one of the most forbidden areas of Miracle Healer Academy. It was also the most terrifying place. When it was revealed that Kai Yu framed Shiyu, he was thrown into the Spirit Extinct Valley. Deputy Dean Jiang frowned and said, "If we really punish Lu Zhishi, will Lu Shuyang go easy on us? Now we don't even know if we can escape Mojing Pavilion's revenge. Could it be that the upper realm only has those scums in the Mojing Pavilion?" Li Qingchuan gritted his teeth. "I heard that their Green Vine clan is nothing in the upper realm. At least the one in Beijing Pavilion is far more powerful than them. Can't we turn to the Venerable for help?" Everyone present looked at each other with complicated and bitter expressions. Jean Liqing chuckled, his voice was low and hoarse. "Venerable Huiyu is naturally powerful, but why should he help us? In the eyes of the people in the upper realm, we are nothing more than small ants and casually raised spiritual pets. After the spiritual pets are well raised, they just pick a few to be their loyal subordinates. If they are not well raised, they will be trampled to death at will. No one cares about the life and death of spiritual pets. Do you think Venerable Huiyu or any force in the upper realm will fight against the Green Vine clan for spiritual pets like us?" Jean Liqing's words made everyone present feel heavy and look ugly. No one wanted to admit their humbleness, but in the eyes of upper realm people, they were just like ants. Zheng Shouyue gritted his teeth and said, "Could it be that we can just be like this forever? Letting the Green Vine clan wantonly humiliate and trample us and letting that despicable Lu Shuyang show off in front of us." Zheng Shouyue still remembered to this day that his proud student back then was brutally tortured to death because he offended someone from the Mojing Pavilion. He resisted desperately, but there was nothing he could do except to be beaten to the brink of death. If he hadn't still had feelings for the Huang medical branch and his friend, Jin Liqing, he would have left this disgusting place long ago. Jin Liqing smiled wryly and said self-deprecatingly, "Unless our Miracle Healer Academy can produce a powerful character who can ascend to the Siam continent and gain a firm foothold in the upper realm, then maybe we will have real backing and protection." When Jin Liqing said this, Deputy Dean Jiang and other elders who had experienced the magical beast forest battle couldn't help but look at each other in blank dismay. They coincidentally thought of a name, Shiyu. Chapter 1484. Blame. If there was a person in this Miracle Healer Academy who could really ignore the difference between the upper realm and the lower realm and could ascend to the Siam continent in just a few decades, it was definitely Shiyu. Deputy Dean Jiang murmured, "Dean, from today, I want to put all the best resources in the academy on Shiyu alone. Only she is the hope to change the future of our Miracle Healer Academy." Before Deputy Dean Jiang finished speaking, a Dean disciple's exclamation suddenly came from outside the door, "How could you barge in here?" As soon as the sentence finished, the door sealed with spiritual power was gently pushed open. A man in a long scholar gown walked into the room with a few strange men behind him. As soon as they saw the person coming, the faces of Deputy Dean Jiang and others immediately became extremely ugly. Li Qingxuan even rushed toward him without even thinking, "Lu Xiang, you still have the face to appear in Miracle Healer Academy." His fist was condensed with powerful spiritual power. Even if this fist hit the rock, it would collapse it. However, Lu Xiang didn't seem to care. He lightly grasped Li Qingxuan's fist and shook it aside. Li Qingxuan was thrown to the ground by him in embarrassment. Lu Xiang smiled lightly and said, "Dean Jin, is that how you welcome old friends?" Dean Huang hurried over to help Li Qingxuan up. When he detected that his meridians were injured, he was shocked to his core. Lu Xuyang's original cultivation is only at the peak of the nascent soul stage. Although he was stronger than us, the gap is not that big, but now, he could injure the Dean of Heaven medical branch with a single casual blow. Jin Liqing's face was very gloomy. "Lu Xiang, I haven't settled the score with you for harming the students and elders of Miracle Healer Academy, but you dare to break in. You really think that we Miracle Healer Academy is afraid of you?" Lu Xuyang slowly showed a gentle and elegant smile, but in the eyes of Zheng Shouyue and others, he looked like the most poisonous snake, making people disgusted and hated. Jin Dean must be joking. I, Lu Xuyang, have always respected Miracle Healer Academy, and even sent my only precious daughter to study there. How can Dean say that I harmed the Miracle Healer Academy? Li Qingxuan held his chest and yelled, "It is an ironclad fact that people of the Doctors Association set us up in the magical beast forest, but you still want to argue. Don't tell me that you don't even know about it." Lu Xuyang suddenly stretched out his hand to grab an old man, kicked him to the ground, and said with a chuckle, "Oh, about that. I have already investigated that this matter was done by Elder Shen alone. I also just found out. I didn't expect that Elder Shen had been lurking in the Doctors Association for many years would have such evil intentions. He secretly bribed the people. Now, in order to put the blame on me, he even harmed the people of Miracle Healer Academy. It's really hard to know the true face of everyone. I really didn't expect to be deceived by this person for so many years. Lu Xuyang, you bastard. You will die horribly. You're the one who," the old man surnamed Shen shouted angrily, but before he could finish speaking, Lu Xuyang had already slapped his head with his palm. Elder Shen's brain burst. Suddenly he died on the spot. Lu Xuyang took out a handkerchief and wiped his hands, then he smiled and said, "Since the culprit has been dealt with, I believe that Miracle Healer Academy will not hold us accountable anymore, right?" Jin Liqing and Zheng Shouyue glanced at each other with horrified pale faces. Chapter 1485. Arrogant Elder Shen of the Doctors' Association was the only one in the Doctors' Association who opposed Lu Shuyang's actions. Because of his cultivation was at the peak of nascent soul stage and the fact that there were people behind him, Lu Shuyang had been unable to do anything about him. But now, he killed Elder Shen so easily? Where did Lu Shuyang get his confidence? And how could he suddenly have such a terrifying strength? Deputy Dean Jiang swallowed and stared at Lu Shuyang fiercely. President Lu, are you here today just to show off your power? What exactly do you want? There was a hint of pride and madness in Lu Shuyang's eyes. He smiled leisurely. Nothing, I just hope that my innocent daughter, Jishi, can continue to study in Miracle Healer Academy. For her safety, I want to assign 2 guards for her. As Lu Shuyang said, 2 strange men came forward behind him. Each of them had the cultivation of nascent soul later stage, but they didn't seem to be from the Doctors' Association. Impossible! Zheng Shouyue said angrily. Lu Jishi wanted to kill Shiyu. Everyone saw it with their own eyes. She must be punished. Lu Shuyang sneered. Dean Zheng, do you remember how your favorite student died back then? Could it be that Dean Zheng wants this one to die again? Zheng Shouyue's face suddenly changed drastically. He glared at Lu Shuyang with hatred. What does Lu Shuyang mean? He wants to harm Shiyu. He dares. Or does Dean Jin want to disregard the safety of all Miracle Healer Academy students just to stand up for a student from the Huang medical branch? Jin Liqing was speechless and full of anger, but he could only bear it. Lu Shuyang looked at the people in the room and smiled mockingly, then he turned and left. This bunch of trash is destined to linger in this lower realm for a lifetime. And I, Lu Shuyang, have a glorious future waiting for me. Lu Shuyang's domineering comings and goings made the elders of Miracle Healer Academy tremble with anger, almost going crazy. But the strength Lu Shuyang showed and the power behind him shocked them. We just let this despicable Lu Shuyang do whatever he wants like this? Li Qingxuan roared unwillingly, but it agitated his wound, which made him cough violently again. Dean Huang looked at the crowd, and he suddenly said in a deep voice, now that Lu Jishi's insidiousness has been proven, Kaiyu was probably wronged back then. Should we release Kaiyu from Spirit Extinct Valley? For this student who was extremely talented in forging, Dean Huang had always been thinking about him. Although it might be too late to release him now, a few days in Spirit Extinct Valley could abolish anyone. What's more, Kaiyu had been in for several months. Lu Shuyang left Miracle Healer Academy and soon returned to his mansion in the Doctors' Association. As soon as he entered the door, he felt a powerful aura. Without much thought, Lu Shuyang turned around and knelt down with a respectful expression. Sir Silver Fox. Not far ahead, a young man in white slowly appeared. He wore a silver mask with special runes on his face, showing only a pair of deep eyes. Silver Fox waved his hand at him, examined Lu Shuyang up and down, and said with a half-smile, "Congratulations to President Lu. Your strength has improved again. Your devouring ability is really terrifyingly powerful." Chapter 1486, Idiot. Lu Shuyang hurriedly said respectfully, "It's just an insignificant skill. Please don't laugh at me, sir." After a pause, he hesitated and said, "Sir, have you found Sir Golden Wolf?" Silver Fox squinted with a hint of ruthlessness. "I found him." Lu Shuyang raised his head abruptly, but before he looked joyful, Silver Fox continued, "However, he is now an idiot who has lost both cultivation and mind." "What?" Lu Shuyang raised his head in shock and disbelief. He was really shocked. The Green Vince clan wasn't the strongest in the upper realm, but it was still a moderate force. Golden Wolf was the most powerful subordinate under the Lord. Who could kidnap Golden Wolf and turn him into a fool? Silver Fox stared at Lu Shuyang and slowly said, "Although Golden Wolf is an idiot now, after he came back, he kept muttering about the wood source. President Lu, did you really find the wood source in the magical beast forest?" Or did you hide something from the Lord? Lu Shuyang's heart skipped a beat, but he pretended to be ignorant and guilty. Sir Silverfox, it's not that I was hiding something, but that I met an unexpected person in the magical beast forest and was seriously injured. I devoured a few people of the Doctors' Association to be able to escape from the danger. I didn't know what happened afterward. Silver Fox frowned as if trying to verify the truth from his words. In Miluo Continent, is there anyone else who can beat you to the brink of death, President Lu? Who is that person? Thinking of that person and the terrifying feeling of his palm piercing through his body, Lu Shuyang felt chills down his spine. He also learned about that person's true identity from Lu Jishi. Lu Shuyang took a deep breath and said slowly, "It's the King of Hell, Nangong Yu." "It's him!" Silver Fox exclaimed, but he was just shocked without doubting. He frowned deeply under the mask and murmured, "Could it be that the Nangong family also wants to snatch the wood source? Otherwise, how could that kid suddenly appear in the magical beast forest? No, I have to go back and inform the Lord." He glanced at Lu Shuyang and said in a deep voice, "The fluctuation of wood source in the magical beast forest must be related to Beastkin or Miracle Healer Academy. I will send people to investigate the Beastkins. You keep an eye on the Miracle Healer Academy. If there is any news about the wood source, report it to the Lord. Are you clear?" "Yes, sir. I will do my best." It wasn't until he was sure that Silver Fox's aura was completely gone that Lu Shuyang let out a breath. He looked in the direction where Silver Fox disappeared with a mocking smile. "The wood source is destined to be mine. No one else can get it. The Nangong family." Thinking of what Silver Fox said just now, Lu Shuyang frowned again. Could it be that King of Hell Nangong Yu has any background? And Nangong Yu, who was mentioned by Lu Shuyang and Green Vince clan, also returned to the King of Hell mansion in Jinling Kingdom City a few days later. Except for Bai Hu and Qing Wan who were following Heshi, and Xian Wu who was cleaning up the Feng family, all the other subordinates knelt in front of him to pay respects. Nangong Yu waved to let them get up, then he went straight to the point, "I want to marry Shi Yu." The words were so abrupt that everyone was taken aback, unable to recover. But this did not include Foodie Wu Yu. Wu Yu immediately jumped up excitedly when he heard that Shi Yu, who was a superb cook, was about to become his own princess. He even forgot about his manner. "Long live the princess. Master, you should have married her sooner. That's great now. I won't have to worry about not having any good food in the future." Chapter 1487. Heshi and Shiyu Xian gave this shameful guy a disgusted look, then he bowed and said, "Congratulations, master." Wu Chen and Wu Go looked at each other. They both saw the embarrassment and surprise in each other's eyes. Isn't this Shiyu known to the world today as a man? Why would master marry a man? Moreover, I remember that the master had proposed marriage to the third miss of Nayland Mansion only a few months ago. Although Nayland Mansion was wiped out later and the third miss was probably dead. But doesn't that mean that master should like woman? Why did he suddenly like man? But Wu Chen quickly restrained his mind, bowed and said, "Congratulations, master. Whether it's a man or a woman, as long as master likes it, no matter who the person is, he must marry back. It doesn't matter if it's a beastkin. What's more, who in the world doesn't know that Shiyu's medical skills are superb? He even owns an industry like Shengda Hall that everyone is flocking to. Only such a young genius is worthy of our master. As for the succession of the family, immortal cultivators usually live a long life. Many people don't value their offspring that much at all." Wu Go frowned, intending to say something, but he finally lowered his head silently. Nangong Yu took a full view of their expressions, but he did not explain. He just said indifferently, "I summoned you today to tell you that Shiyu will not only be my princess, but her order and status will also be equal to mine from now on. You will be loyal to me in the future, and you must also be loyal to Shiyu. If I find out that anyone dares to disrespect Shiyu, I will never show mercy. Do you understand?" Several people, including the butlers of the King of Hell Mansion, all bowed in response. After Wu Xan and others retreated, Only Qin Long and Butler Nan remained beside Nan Gongyu. Butler Nan couldn't help but asked, "Why didn't young master tell Wu Go and the others that Shi Yu is a woman and she is exactly the Nalan his Shi Yu proposed a few months ago?" Nan Gongyu tapped his fingers on the table, frowned slightly, and said, "Don't ever mention again that Shi is the third miss of the Nalan family. Shi Yu is Shi Yu, Nalan Hishi is Nalan Hishi. Nalan Hishi had already died, and Shi Yu is about to be my Nan Gongyu's wife. Uncle Nan, do you understand?" Butler Nan was startled for a moment, then remembered the mysterious appearance and disappearance of the man in red clothes that destroyed the Nalan family in a snap of his fingers. His mind shook for a moment. He had understood the meaning of his master and quickly bowed. "Subordinate understands. I will also tell Wu Xin and Wu Yu, who know about it, to not spread it." Nan Gongyu nodded, but he did not loosen his frown. Regarding Hishi's origin and Enling Yue's portrait, Nan Gongyu always had a bad feelings. He instinctively knew that no one should discover Hishi's true identity, otherwise it might bring disaster. Therefore he could only marry Shi Yu, not the third miss of the Nalan family. As for whether Shi Yu was a man or a woman and whether people in the world would spread gossip about him, would he, Nan Gongyu, care about such gossip? Nan Gongyu knocked on the table twice, and suddenly said to Qin Long, "Go and get the Xingyun Lujing." Qin Long was startled, and opened his eyes slightly. "Master is the Nangong family who wants to contact the upper realm?" "Naturally." Nan Gongyu slowly raised the corners of his mouth, but his smile was a little complicated, with nostalgia and disgust, helplessness and hatred. "Now that I'm getting married, I should at least let them know anyway, right?" Chapter 1488. Nangong family. Qin Long paused for a moment, then he silently took out the Nebula Du mirror from the King of Hell Mansion's underground palace. The Nebula Du mirror was a treasure that could connect two worlds. The energy contained in it was unimaginable, so ordinary storage devices couldn't store it. The Nebula Du mirror was almost half the height of a person. It was inlaid with exquisitely carved nebula patterns. The mirror was made of bronze. If one just looked at it this way, it was an ordinary and cheap bronze mirror with at most a little bigger size. Nan Gongyu swiped his finger lightly, dripped a few drops of blood oozed into the Nebula Du mirror, and injected spiritual power. The original gloomy mirror surface suddenly lit up with a dazzling light. The bronze mirror, which was still slightly rusty, seemed to suddenly turn into a vortex that refracted colorful light, leading to a very far place. After about a quarter of an hour, the vortex on the mirror surface disappeared, and a clear image appeared. At this time, there was chaos on the other side. Figures could be seen running back and forth and shouting, "It's young Master Yu! It's really young Master Yu's contact! Quick, hurry up and inform Master and the old lady." Nan Gongyu watched this scene quietly without any change in expression. Looking at those familiar and unfamiliar house furnishings, Qin Long's eyes fluctuated for a while, then they slowly calmed down. You are, is it really you?" A crying voice came from the other end of the Nebula Du mirror. Nan Gongyu's body trembled slightly, then a white-haired old woman appeared in the image. The old woman's cultivation was already at the gold core stage, but she looked to be in her 70s. Her face was covered with wrinkles. Seeing Nan Gongyu, the old woman threw herself in front of the Nebula Du mirror and cried loudly, "Yua, it's really my Yua. Yua, why haven't you contacted Grandma for so long? Do you know how Grandma misses you much?" The coldness in Nan Gongyu's eyes was melting like the snow in spring. If there was anyone else in the Nangong family whom he cared about, it was only this grandmother. He said softly, "Grandmother, grandson is unfilial." On the other side of Nebula Du mirror, a pair of slender hands supported the old woman. A crisp voice sounded like an aureole coming out of the valley, "Old lady, don't be sad anymore. Didn't Cousin Yu contact you now? If you still cry again, Cousin Yu will be sad too?" The old woman wiped away her tears, then she calmed down under the girl's persuasion and sat down in front of the Nebula Du mirror. After the old woman left the mirror, Nan Gongyu quickly saw the scene in front. There were quite a few people sitting in front of Nebula Du mirror this time. Several of his uncles, except the most useless third uncle Nangong Exin, all came. Even the current family master of the Nangong family, his second uncle Nangong Hua, was sitting right in front of Nebula Du Mirror and looked at him with sharp eyes. The one supporting the old lady was a beautiful young girl who looked only 17 years old, but her cultivation had already reached the nascent soul stage. Even in Siam continent, she was a very rare talent. Nangong Yu had never seen this girl before, and he didn't care about her. On the contrary, the girl, who saw Nangong Yu's handsome face and sensed that unfathomable cultivation, couldn't help but lower her face with a blush. As soon as Nangong Hua sat down, he said in a dignified manner, I heard that you have already broken through to the soul-splitting stage. Now that you can challenge the tribulation, shouldn't it be time to return to Siam continent? You're also a member of the Nangong family, shouldn't you come back early and contribute to the Nangong family? Chapter 1489. Fiancé? Nangong Yu didn't even look at him, completely treating him as heir. He just looked at the old woman with a dignified expression and said with a hint of shyness, "Grandmother, I contacted you today to tell you that I'm getting married." Old Lady Nangong was taken aback for a moment, then she was surprised. Married? You are going to get married? Who are you going to marry? The girl who was supporting Old Lady Nangong immediately tightened her hand. Her expression looked uncertain. Nangong Yu thought of Heshi's beautiful face, her clear and purple phoenix eyes, and a gentle and sweet smile appeared on his mouth unconsciously. "Grandmother, her name is Shiyu. He is the first person I like, and she is the only one I want to marry in my life." However, before Nangong Yu finished speaking, he was interrupted by Nangong Hua with a livid face. "What Shiyu? Where did the dubious woman come from?" "I absolutely disagree. As a member of the Nangong family, how can you marry a person from the lower realm? This will put shame on our Nangong family." Nangong Yu's face suddenly turned gloomy. There was a fierce storm in his dark eyes. "Second uncle, did I ask your opinion? Since when can they decide my, Nangong Yu's marriage? If it isn't for the sake of the same surname Nangong, I won't even give a notice." When Nangong Hua was stared at by such a pair of eyes, he felt a chill all over his body. Obviously, the young man is only 20 years old. Obviously, he is my nephew. Even if he is also at the soul-splitting stage, I have advanced to the soul-splitting stage for hundreds of years. How can he be intimidated by such a kid? Nangong Hua couldn't help but think of her elder brother, Nangong Outyin. He was also a terrifying man. Since childhood, I was suppressed by him to the extent that I couldn't lift my head. I was jealous and hated him, but when I heard that he was expelled from Nangong family and stayed in the lower realm forever, I was exhilarated for a long time. Now that I'm in charge of the Nangong family as the family master, logically speaking, even if Nangong Outyin is in front of me, I shouldn't be afraid. However, facing Nangong Yu, I'm really timid. I even have an inexplicable illusion that Nangong Yu is much scarier than Nangong Outyin. Nangong Hua suddenly came back to his senses. When he saw the young and handsome face in Nebula Du Mirror, he suddenly became angry. "What do you mean by that? You're a descendant of our Nangong family, and you are destined to return to Siam continent in the future. How can you marry a lowly woman in a place like Miluo continent?" As Nangong Hua said, he glanced at the girl who was supporting the old woman and said in a deep voice, "Besides, don't you know that you already have a fiancé? Are you being fair to Jingshui?" The girl supporting the old woman's face turned pale when she heard the words. She looked like she was about to cry. Nangong Yu didn't even bother to take a look. He said with a sneer, "Why didn't I know that I still have a fiancé? What's more, since when can second uncle decide my marriage?" Hearing his rude words, Nangong Hua's face became even more ugly. He gritted his teeth and said, "Jingshui is your cousin, and she is also the most outstanding disciple of Siam continent's Yun family. Your father had already arranged this marriage for you before he was dead. He just couldn't tell you himself." There was a gloomy look in Nangong Yu's eyes. "My mother, Yun Charan, was exiled by the Yun family to the lower realm. If she hadn't met my father later and fell in love with each other, my mother would have died in the Miluo continent. Chapter 1490. Ashamed into anger, father hated the Yun family and those from the Lu family the most. He hated them so much that he didn't hesitate to perish together with them. Now these people actually have the face to tell me that my father has arranged a marriage for him with a girl from the Yun family? What an absurd joke. However, Nangong Hua was still condemning. Over the years, there have been countless high-rank martial artists who wanted to marry Jingxue, but she has been devoted to you. You can't let her down. Yun Jingxue lowered her head shyly. Qing Long, who was standing behind Nangong Yu, was already full of anger when he heard this. He had always hoped that his master would return to Siam. After all, his master's parents were originally from Siam, so he always had respect for the Nangong family on the Siam continent. However, when he came into contact with them today, he didn't expect these people to be so greedy and shameless. Qing Long was about to say something when the door of the room was pushed open suddenly. Butler Nan walked in angrily, pointed at the Nebula Du mirror and scolded, "Second master, how can you talk nonsense like this? When our master and madam were alive, they said that no marriage should be arranged for young master when he is an adult. They wouldn't even let him marry the woman of the Yun family and Lu family. How could young master have a fiancée?" After Nangong Hua's lie was exposed on the spot, his face turned green and red immediately. He looked at Butler Nan fiercely, and he even used coercion. "You old fool, do you have the right to speak here? Do you believe?" The value of Nebula Du mirror was that some fundamental essence and spiritual attacks could penetrate time and space. Butler Nan was no more than a gold core stage. Now that he was being oppressed by the spiritual pressure of a soul-splitting stage master, his face couldn't help turning pale. Nangong Yu stood in front of Butler Nan and squinted slightly, then Nangong Hua suddenly widened his eyes with fear. A bead of sweat slowly slid down from his forehead. Nangong Yu sneered and said, "Second uncle, are you ashamed into anger that your lies have been exposed?" Before Nangong Hua could speak again, Nangong Yu said coldly, "I'll say it again. Don't say that my parents will never make such a marriage contract for me. Even if there is a marriage contract, it has nothing to do with me. The only one I want to marry is Shiyu. If anyone dares to stop me, I will make him pay a terrible price. Even you, my dear uncles, will be the same." For a moment, the Nebula Du mirror was completely silent. Everyone in the Nangong family had livid faces and eyes full of anger, but the strength Nangong Yu just showed made them realize how terrifying this man was. They didn't dare to act rashly. Old Lady Nangong coughed lightly, breaking the silence. Don't be angry. Your second uncle also wanted to remind you because he is worried that you would be cheated." Seeing Nangong Yu's gloomy face, the old lady immediately said with a gentle and kind expression, "However, if you really thinks she is a good girl, then I will definitely support you. After all, the most important is that you truly like her." As soon as the old lady said this, Yun Jingshue's face turned pale in an instant. She couldn't help but whisper with sobs, "Old lady." Hearing this, the old lady patted her little hand lightly and gave her deep eyes, but she didn't say much. Nangong Yu's originally gloomy face eased a lot, and he smiled slightly. "Grandmother, Sheer is the person I chose. I believe that you will also like her." Chapter 1491. Good way. As for the others, even if they had the same surname as Nangong, they had nothing to do with him. The image on the Nebula Du mirror disappeared, and Qing Long moved the treasure back. Butler Nan looked at his master's indifferent face, but he felt pain in his heart. Although master didn't show any emotion, I knew that the master is once again more disappointed with that family. When old master and madam were killed, young master was still a naive child. Before, he would laugh and make trouble, but in the blink of an eye, he is as cold as ice. He no longer shows other expressions on his face. While young master was hiding his strength and pretended to get along well with the Feng family, he also wants to investigate the truth about the deaths of master and madam. For so many years, before meeting Miss Shiyu, Young master had never really smiled happily. Now that young master is finally able to marry Miss Shiyu, the Nangong family actually wants to meddle in his marriage. They even got him a fiancée with ill intentions. It's like they don't want young master to have a good life at all. Nangong Yu squinted suddenly, tapped his fingers on the table, and suddenly said in a deep voice to Qing Long, who just came in, "I have a task for you." Qing Long bowed and listened to his orders. After Nangong Yu finished his words, Qing Long opened his mouth slightly, showing a shocked expression. Butler Nan immediately smiled delightfully. He immediately said, "Young master, this is a good way. Just let everyone know that you are going to marry Miss Shiyu. When the time comes, the marriage has been done. Let's see what kind of trouble can the people of the Nangong family with malicious intentions make." Qing Long gave Butler Nan a complicated look. He couldn't help complaining secretly in his mind, "You only know that this is a good way to deal with Nangong family, but you don't know that master hasn't even successfully proposed yet. When the news of the marriage is spread to everyone, the princess..." Qing Long shuddered, but he bowed his head and went to execute the order. After returning from the magical beast forest, Hushi's days returned to a rare calm. The amount of books in Miracle Healer Academy's library really surprised her, especially the materials on medical skills and pill refining. They could make up for her lack of foundation and experimentation. Moreover, Hushi always felt that those academy elders were treating her inexplicably well now. They let her read the books for free, use the spirit stones for free, vacate the best pill refining room for her, and even assign the elite elders and branch deans to teach her every day. One day, just after the class, Dean Huang couldn't help but excitedly said, "Shiyu, a genius like you should come to learn how to forge weapons. How can you be a pill refiner? It's really a waste of talent. If you learn about forging, you will definitely become the best forge master." Hushi had a headache while listening to Dean Huang's nagging. This was not the first time that Dean Huang asked her to change to forge weapons. It should be said that this was not the first elder who asked her to change to learn other skills. For some reason, after unlocking the first level of the wood source, Hushi found that she was learning quickly and easily now. But she has always known that skill lies in proficiency rather than the number of skills. For her, the most important and most interesting thing was always the art of healing and poisoning. Chapter 1492. Congratulations. As for other skills such as forging, array, and planting, she only seemed to know a little superficially. First, it would help her medical skills. Second, they would also have a life-saving effect at critical moments. As Dean Huang was talking excitedly, Li Qingxuan's angry voice suddenly came from the side. "What are you talking about? Shiyu's talent in array is obviously better. Shiyu, listen to me. If you want to give up medical skills and pill refining, come and learn array from me. I have never accepted any disciple. You are the first one. What is there to learn in such boring forging skill?" Dean Huang had always been the best-tempered, but when it came to forging, his temper immediately exploded. "Your temper is bad like a cow. Why are you accepting disciple? Shiyu will be ruined if he follows you." Hushi looked at the two deans who were arguing like children, pressed her aching temples, and quietly backed away. As soon as she turned the corner, she breathed a sigh of relief. Then, Wei Chengyuan's laughter came into her ears. "It seems that being too popular is not a good thing." Hushi rolled her eyes at him angrily. "It seems that you have been very idle recently." Wei Chengyuan touched his nose with a smile and took out a jade box for her. Heshi raised her eyebrows. It's a New Year gift from Venerable Huiyu." Wei Chengyuan paused with a deep smile. Venerable Huiyu also specifically said that this gift is not considered as a reward for your life-saving grace, but as an elder's gift. Please accept it. Heshi opened the jade box and took a look. Inside was a delicate and beautiful purple jade hairpin. It had a luster. Complicated array runes could be faintly seen. Heshi's mouth twitched. What does Venerable Huiyu mean? Knowing that I'm now disguised as a man, he even gave me a girl's accessory. No matter how beautiful this purple jade hairpin is and how powerful the defensive array is, it is of no use to me. Wei Qingyuan couldn't help but poked his head to look at her, but He had closed the jade box with a snap before Wei Qingyuan saw it. Wei Qingyuan wondered, "What is it? So mysterious. Venerable specifically told me not to open it casually. Shiyu, can't you let me see it?" He glared at him. As she was about to speak, Lu Jishi in a pink dress walked over gracefully not far away. Seeing this woman, Wei Qingyuan immediately frowned with a disgusted expression. After returning from the magical beast forest, Lu Jishi was inexplicably absolved of her crimes. She was able to stay in Miracle Healer Academy like nothing happened. Moreover, Lu Jishi, who came back, seemed to be a different person. In the past, no matter what her insides were like, her appearance was always dignified and beautiful like a noble fairy. People could only watch her from a distance. But now Lu Jishi exuded a seductive and enchanting aura with every gesture. She had seduced many young students in Miracle Healer Academy. At this moment, several elites from the 4 upper courtyards surrounded her. As long as Lu Jishi gave a wink, they would be overwhelmed with excitement as if they would die for her. Lu Jishi glanced at He with a hint of deep jealousy in her eyes, but a soft smile evoked on her face instead. "Student Shiyu, congratulations." "Congratulations?" He raised her eyebrows. Wei Qingyuan said directly in disgust, "Lu Jishi, what are you planning again?" Chapter 1493, Marriage News. Lu Jishi glanced at Wei Qingyuan and sneered with pity and sarcasm. "Brother Wei, you stay by Shiyu's side with all your heart, but you don't know that he doesn't like you at all. Although he is a man, he has high aspirations. Now he even hooks up with His Royal Highness King of Hell. Am I right?" He frowned slightly. "What do you mean by that?" Lu Jishi smiled enchantingly, winked at the men around her, and said with a sneer, "Shiyu, are you pretending to be stupid in front of me now? Nangong Yu actually wants to marry you, a toy boy, at all costs. He even announced your marriage news to the entire Miluo continent. Are you happy now? Are you proud of getting His Highness King of Hell? However, you never think that if Nangong Yu married a man, what kind of laughingstock would he become? You disregard the ethics and ruin Nangong Yu's reputation. How dare you walk around in the Miracle Healer Academy like nothing happens? Even I'm ashamed of you." All the men around Lu Jishi blushed. Although they agreed with Lu Jishi's words, no one dared to say anything more. Shiyu had established absolute prestige in Miracle Healer Academy. Even if they didn't completely surrender to her, few people dared to embarrass her face to face. Those who were severely slapped in the face in the past had taught them enough lessons. He was also taken aback by the words. Her expression froze for a while. Marriage news spread throughout Miluo continent? What the hell is this? Siam continent Divine Moon Palace. Venerable Huiyu listened to his subordinate Wei Jianxing's report, and he said with a half-smile, "I never thought that the Feng family, which the Dark Knight clan put so much effort into supporting in the lower realm, would be wiped out so easily by that brat of the Nangong family. I already had a high evaluation of him, but it seems that he is much more powerful than I imagined. Should I say that he really deserves to be the son of Nangong Outyen?" Venerable Huiyu said and shook his head with some emotion. If there was no Nangong Outyen back then, the Nangong family would have been a bottom-level existence in Siam continent. They were even lower than the Feng family that was the vassal of the Dark Knight clan. Now the Nangong family is falling again, but this Nangong Yu is rising unexpectedly. Even I can't see through him. He is really unfathomable. Yan Shao, who looked rough and unsuspecting, smiled and said, "Who cares if this brat is unfathomable or not? Anyway, he doesn't fight against us. We only need to watch the Dark Knight clan make a fool of themselves. I wonder how long can they wipe their ass clean." Wei Jianxing coughed lowly, interrupted Yan Zhao's rude words, and continued. "There is another news. Nangong Yu from Miluo continent released the news that he is about to marry Shiyu of the Miracle Healer Academy as his wife. I heard that the Nangong family in Siam continent is furious over this. especially because Nangong Hua originally wanted Nangong Yu to marry Yun Jingxue from the Yun family. Venerable Hui Yu smacked his tongue and said dissatisfiedly, "Why is Nangong Yu so quick? I still want to introduce that little girl to my Zhena. Why did he announce the marriage before I could think of a way to break them?" Wei Jianxing coughed again and again. "Venerable, is it really okay for you to say so brazenly that you want to break up the couple?" Chapter 1494. Marry a Man? Venerable Hui Yu is still dissatisfied. "Where is Zhena? I asked him to go down to Miluo to meet that little girl Shiyu. Did he do that? Where did he go?" Wei Jianxing rubbed his nose and smiled. "Venerable, Master Zhen said that he found a place to practice, and he has been away from the Divine Moon Palace for more than a month. Well, Master Zhen said that he is not interested in women, and he told you not to worry about it." Venerable Hui Yu called out, "Bastard," angrily, then he was taken aback and said with some hesitation, "Wait, when Nangong Yu announced the marriage news, did he mention whether Shiyu is a man or a woman?" Wei Jianxing was startled, then he murmured after a long while, "No one will think that the wife Nangong Yu is going to marry is a man, right? No one in Siam continent knew who Shiyu was, so naturally they didn't doubt whether she was a man or a woman. As for Venerable Hui Yu, they already knew Shiyu's identity as a woman." However, Wei Jianxing thought of Miracle Healer Academy. It seems almost everyone in Miluo continent has acquiesced that Shiyu is a man? Thinking of the expression on the face of the Nangong family when they thought Nangong Yu was going to marry a man, Wei Jianxing couldn't help but burst out laughing. Then the Divine Moon Palace erupted into loud laughter, which confused the guards outside the palace. The magical beast forest in Miluo continent could be said to be the largest mountain range in the entire continent that spans several countries. In the northernmost corner, there was an inconspicuous small town named Huanan. Huanan City was unknown to many people in the entire Miluo continent. It was located in a remote place and did not belong to any country. The population was even more pitiful. The total number of people was less than 1,000, but few people know that this was the base of the Nangong family in the lower realm. They didn't have any big tasks. Their purpose was to get intel in the lower world and report it to the Nangong family in the Siam continent. The most important news they wanted to investigate was about Nangong Yu. The person in charge of guarding Huanan City was none other than Nangong Exin, who had the lowest cultivation level in the Nangong family and was considered the most useless. Nangong Exin was the younger brother of Nangong Hua with the same father and mother. Nangong Hua was handsome and tall while Nangong Exin was like a short winter melon. Not to mention he was ugly, he even had fat all over his body. If he wasn't at the nascent soul stage early stage with those sneaky mung bean eyes, he looked no different from a profiteer full of fat. It was late afternoon at this time. The sun was shining outside. The palace was also bright. But in the city lord's sleeping hall, there were ecstasy crashing sounds, panting sounds, and moaning and crying that made people blush. "Third Master, lightning light, is too fast. Third Master, please spare me." On Nangong Xian's huge bed, a middle-aged man who was like a ball of meat pressed tightly against the body of a handsome young man. He kept banging the young man and making roars like a beast. With tears on the young man's face, he lay prone on the bed, moaning in pain and joy. After a long time, Nangong Exin let out a loud cry, finally satisfied, and fell on the young man with a look of contentment. The young man burst into a sweat on his bead. The stinky liquid and the smelly breath made the young man frown in anger, hatred, and disgust, but he quickly suppressed it. Nangong Xian's weight was at least 200 caddies. After being pressed by him for a long time, the young man could hardly breathe. Chapter 1495. Nangong Xian's toy boy. He showed a pitiful expression and said in a weak voice, "Third Master, you are so powerful." Binger almost couldn't stand it. "Can you let Binger go now?" Nangong Xian had already intended to end it, but when Nangong Xian saw his lustful look, His desire was soaring again. After about 300 rounds, there were hurried footsteps followed by a knocking on the door. Nangong Exen was infuriated for being interrupted. Get lost. This group of people is really getting more and more annoying. They dare to disrupt me when I was having fun. When I'm done, I will remove all these useless things. Unexpectedly, the person who knocked on the door not only did not retreat, but he said anxiously, "Third Master, open the door quickly. It is a letter from Second Master, and it is very urgent." As soon as Nangong Exen heard that it was the letter from his second brother in the Siam continent, he didn't dare to neglect it. He was able to enjoy such lustful life and rich resources due to the indulgence of his second brother. Otherwise, with his nascent soul early-stage cultivation, even in Miluo continent, there were many people who were stronger than him. How could he be so carefree? Nangong Shinchi crawled off the bed with his heavy body. The fat all over her body was shaking. After getting off the bed, Nangong Exen stretched out his hand to touch the young man's back and said with a lustful smile, "Little fairy, wait for me to come back. I will definitely satisfy you." After saying that, with a big belly, he slowly walked out of his bedroom. The servant who sent a letter to Nangong Exen couldn't help but look into the room. Smelling the stench that filled the room and looking at the naked young man, he couldn't help showing a contemptuous expression. It's fine that the third master of the Nangong family doesn't like women and likes young men, but he even indulged in sex every day. It's really embarrassing for the Nangong family. No wonder master threw him to the lower realm. After Nangong Exen and the servant left, the young man who was lying on the bed slowly got up. The pitiful, well-behaved and docile look on his face just now had long since disappeared without a trace. His cold eyes stared at the direction in which Nangong Exen disappeared with deep loathing. If there were people from Miracle Healer Academy here at this time, they could identify of this young man at a glance. Tong Bing, the boy who the entire Miracle Healer Academy thought had died in the magical beast forest, unexpectedly appeared in the City Lord Mansion in Huanan City. He even became Nangong Exen's toy boy. In the conference hall, a middle-aged man in green clothes bowed to Nangong Exen casually and handed him an inscribed jade slip. Miluo and Siam continent couldn't communicate with each other with ordinary communication talismans. Treasures such as Nebula Dew Mirror, there weren't many of them even in the Siam continent. And this man in green clothes, named Jingluo, was Nangong Hua's confidant. His strength had reached the early stage of the soul-splitting stage, so he could break through the barrier between the continents and deliver the letter to the Miluo continent. Nangong Exen shook his fat body and sat down on the chair. He was very dissatisfied with Jingluo's inattention when facing him. "Isn't it just a dog of my second brother? What are you acting so arrogantly?" Nangong Exen read the inscribed jade slip with divine sense, then he frowned. The order in this inscribed jade slip was very simple. It actually asked him to investigate Nangong Yu's fiancée, but it even led him to ruin the marriage between Nangong Yu and his fiancée? Isn't this asking me to court death? Chapter 1496. Terrifying nephew. Doesn't second brother know that what I fear the most is that cold nephew? It is even more frightening than when I see second brother. Nangong Exen couldn't help thinking about the past. At that time, Nangong Yu was only 16 years old and had just advanced to the gold core stage. Nangong Exen took a fancy to a manservant of Nangong Yu and wanted to rape him forcibly. In the end, Nangong Yu saw it. He launched his flying sword and chased Nangong Exen for the entire continent. The point was that Nangong Yu was only at the gold core stage, and Nangong Shi was already at the nascent soul stage, but he couldn't fight against Nangong Yu at all. He was slashed several times on his body. In the end, he knelt down and begged for mercy. He even brought out Nangong Exen's mother to barely force Nangong Yu to stop. After that, Nangong Exen never dared to provoke his terrifying elder nephew. Even the surveillance tasks ordered by Nangong Hua could only be carried out secretly. It had been a long time since what happened back then, but thinking about it now, Nangong Exen felt that the old wounds were aching. Thinking of this, Nangong Exen's attitude toward Jingluo was very bad, second brother only gives this order? He only knows that Nan Gongyu is going to marry a person called Shiyu, and he has no other information? How do you want me to find this person? What's more, even if I found this person, will Nan Gongyu listen to me? It is better not to be able to find anything so that I don't have to confront that lunatic Nan Gongyu. Zheng Luo said indifferently, "Don't worry, third master. Second master had ordered me to stay in Miluo continent and assist third master at any time. That is to say, the investigation must be done and the marriage must be ruined?" Although Zheng Luo said he would stay, Nangong Exen was not happy at all. Nangong Yu had already left a deep trauma in Nangong Xian's mind, which made him feel that even Zheng Luo, who was at the soul-splitting stage, might not be able to save him from Nangong Yu's sword. When Nangong Exen returned to his bedroom, his face was still sorrowful. He had no intention of indulging in sex. He just frowned with distress and displeasure. "Third master, what's the matter? Did someone make you angry?" The young man's soft and slightly hoarse voice came from beside his ear. Nangong Exen waved his hand irritably, but he did not speak. A dark light flashed in Tong Bing's eyes. His slender body squeezed into Nangong Xian's arms, he hugged Nangong Xian's thick and short neck, and he praised and comforted several times in a gentle and tender voice. Originally, Nangong Exen would not tell these things to his toy boy, but this young man gave him harmless feeling, which made him relax his vigilance unconsciously. Listening to Nangong Xian's narration, Tong Bing's face became more and more surprised, then it was twisted by jealousy and anger. "King of Hell Nangong Yu wants to marry Shiyu? Isn't he a man like me? Is Nangong Yu's brain trampled by a magical beast and becomes an idiot? Besides, doesn't Shiyu already have a lover? He not only seduces Xian Mu, but he even seduces King of Hell Nangong Yu? Wait, in the confinement space of the magical beast forest, when Shiyu's lover was swept away by the teleportation array. The skin on his face seemed to be cracked, as if a mask had been torn apart. Could it be that the high cultivation but unremarkable bodyguard and lover next to Shiyu is the King of Hell Nangong Yu? Tong Bing gritted his teeth with hatred when he thought of the rumored Nangong Yu, who was unparalleled handsome and had unfathomable cultivation. Chapter 1497. Dogs Hit Plot. Why? As men, I'm no worse than Shiyu. I'm even more dedicated, kind and pure than Shiyu, but Xian Mu and Nangong Yu will only look at Shiyu. And it can only be trampled by this fat pig? Tong Bing took a deep breath, slowly covered up the resentment on his face, and then frowned. He looked at Nangong Exen with a naive look. "Third master, are you sure you are not mistaken? The person King of Hell Nangong Yu wants to marry is Shiyu? He won't be the Shiyu I'm thinking, right?" Nangong Exen was taken aback. "What? Binger, you know Shiyu? Tell me quickly, which family she is from. I have been in Miluo continent for so many years, why haven't I heard of any family with the surname Shi?" Tong Bing bit his lips hesitantly. Under Nangongsen's urging, Tong Bing said, "If the Shiyu that third master mentioned is the Shiyu I know, then Shiyu is not a woman, but a man. Are you sure, third master? How could King of Hell marry a man?" "What?" Nangong Exen jumped up from the bed. "You said Shiyu is a man? How is this possible?" Tong Bing seemed to be scared by Nangong Exen. His eyes were slightly red, and he said with a sobbing and sad voice, "Third master, Binger has always been very grateful to you for picking Binger back from the magical beast forest. Otherwise, Binger would have died tragically in that forest long ago. Does third master want to know who caused Binger to end up in a miserable state?" What Nangong Xian cared most about now was whether Nangong Yu was going to marry a man or a woman, so he wanted to scold. "I don't care who harmed you as long as I have enough fun with you." But when he saw Tong Bing looking at him with tears in his eyes, he still restrained himself and said, "Who hurt you?" "It was that Shiyu." As soon as Tong Bing said this, Nangong Exen was taken aback. "What do you mean by that?" "Third master, I was originally a student of Miracle Healer Academy. Then, I discovered Shiyu's misbehavior. He obviously had a lover, but he still flirted with the man in his dormitory, and even he had sex with him. I originally wanted to expose Shiyu, but Shiyu found out. When we were training, he set me up with a trap in the magical beast forest. If Third Master didn't help me, I would be dead for nothing. Nangong Xian's face was sluggish. The dog's hit plot completely exceeded his expectations. I thought Nangong you would marry a beautiful lady from a great family, but he is actually going to marry a man? What's more, the man is such a ruthless and promiscuous person. Tong Bing wiped his tears. His body trembled slightly as if he couldn't bear the pain of being framed. He said in a choked voice, "Now that I heard what Third Master's words, I finally know that Shiyu's lover is King of Hell Nangongyu. No wonder he wanted to kill me. No wonder he was so afraid of being exposed about his scandals." If His Highness King of Hell knew about his scandal, His Highness King of Hell might not want him. Nangong Xian regained consciousness. Listening to Tong Bing's words, his mung bean eyes became brighter and brighter. I was still worrying about how to separate Nangong Yu and his fiancée. In the end, the fiancé is not a woman, but a man? Chapter 1498. Laugh out loud. Haha, our Nangong family is a respectable family. Of course it doesn't matter if we play with men, but who dares to marry a man? Isn't this making the Nangong family a joke in the entire immortal realm? In this way, not to mention that Nangong Hua will not agree to the marriage, even the old lady and everyone in the world will not let Nangong Yu do it. If I release the news that the man is flirtatious and promiscuous again, the marriage will be over without me ruining it. Nangong Xian really got more and more excited as he thought about it. He grabbed Tong Bing's hand and asked, "Is it true?" Tong Bing nodded again and again. "I used to live in the same dormitory as Shiyu, and no one knows him better than me, so how can I make a mistake? Third Master, Nangong Yu is your nephew. You have saved Binger's life. How can Binger let your cousin be deceived by such a person? Shiyu, who hooks up with any man. How can such a person be worthy of His Royal Highness King of Hell?" Okay. Nangong Xian became happier the more he listened. He said, "We will go to Miracle Healer Academy and meet this man whom my nephew chooses." Pity, Nangong you would be fascinated by a man? I heard that he is even 17 years old, which is my favorite type. If I can play for a while, I wonder how wonderful is it. Didn't Tong Bing say that he is promiscuous? I believe that as long as I show my identity as one of the Nangong family, he will obediently lie on me. As long as he thought of playing Nangong Yu's person, his blood was boiling. Tong Bing looked at the greed in Nangong Xian's eyes, and a sharp and crazy light flashed in his eyes. Back then he wanted to devour Shiyu's spiritual power and talent, but Shiyu devoured his vitality instead. When he was left to die in the magical beast forest, everyone thought he was dead. A few days later, a beastkin that had just transformed passed by him, thinking that he was a student of Miracle Healer Academy. He had heard that Shiyu from Miracle Healer Academy was the savior of the Beastkin clan, so he kindly treated him. Tong Bing devoured his Beastkin power and vitality without hesitation at the time of life and death. Although he took advantage of the Beastkin's kindness again, Tong Bing felt that he was still kind and pure. After all, Beastkins and humans were different. Only a vicious person like Shiyu would be ruthless to him, but Shiyu treated the Beastkins better. However, Tong Bing was seriously injured. Even after devouring the little Beastkin's vitality, he was still weak. He fled to the edge of the magical beast forest and passed out, but he was finally picked up by Nangong Xian. When Tong Bing woke up, he found that he was being raped by this fat scum, Nangong Xian. He was unwilling, resisted, and even called Brother Xianmu for help, but in the end he still couldn't avoid a miserable fate. He hated Shiyu even more for making him fall into such a fate. So after waking up again, Tong Bing changed his previously resistant attitude. Instead, he flattered Nangong Xian. He wanted to stay alive and become stronger. He must return to Miracle Healer Academy and take revenge on Shiyu and those who bullied him and ruined him in Huang Medical Academy. But now, the opportunity he had been waiting for a long time finally arrived. As long as he thought that Shiyu would be raped by the scum, Nangong Xian, Tong Bing trembled with excitement. He almost couldn't help wanting to laugh out loud. Chapter 1499. Act before informing Nangong Yu was going to marry a man as wife. This news swept through the entire Miluo continent like a hurricane. Who was Nangong Yu? That was the only 20 years old nascent soul stage martial artist in Miluo continent. He was the god of war known to everyone in the world. Who is Shiyu? If we were together years ago, some people might not know her. But now, Shengda Hall's branches had opened all over the world. The best quality pills sold in Shengda Hall and Qingxia sect had attracted many martial artists. Everyone knew that those best quality pills came from the young miracle healer Shiyu. And now, King of Hell Nangong Yu actually wanted to marry Shiyu as his wife? This was a jaw-dropping news. The students and elders of the Miracle Healer Academy even wanted to find out more about it. However, unlike other people who thought Nangong Yu was blind for wanting a man instead of a woman, the people in Huang Medical Branch felt even injustice for Heshi. Lu Zhishi, that black-hearted bitch, is now spreading rumors outside all day long, saying that Shiyu seduces King of Hell Nangong Yu. She even says that Shiyu is willing to be a lowly toy boy. Bah! Is there anyone meaner than her in the entire Miluo continent? She is just being jealous. Qian Dezhuang and the others gathered together in Hishi's small dormitory. They cursed angrily. Zhang Yi clenched his fists and said angrily, "Why do people say that brother Shiyu seduced that King of Hell? It was clear that King of Hell wants Shiyu himself." Yeah. With Shiyu's talent and worth, does he need to seduce others? How many men and women are fond of Shiyu in the Miracle Healer Academy? So what if he is King of Hell Nangong Yu? He is no better than our senior Xian Mu. This was said by Shiyu's fan. But I think His Royal Highness King of Hell and brother Shiyu are a perfect match. As long as they like each other, what does it matter if they are both men? This person believed in love. Heshi pressed her forehead. I'm already annoyed enough. Jin Ziyu looked at Shiyu and ignored the cursing of the people around. He whispered, Shiyu, is this true? If it is King of Hell's unilateral intention, I can find a way for someone to clarify. Heshi frowned. Her mind was also overwhelmed. When she heard Jin Ziyu's words, she thought for a moment and said calmly, if there is only one person who I can live with for the rest of my life, this person can only be Nangong Yu. Jin Ziyu's eyes flickered. He nodded immediately, I understand what you mean. After returning from the magical beast forest, Jin Ziyu did not leave Huang Medical Branch. He began to take charge of the Academy Student Council again. And Lu Zhishi was dismissed directly by Deputy Dean Jiang. Therefore, he had great authority to control the Academy's public opinion. After Jin Ziyu and others left, Heshi took out the inscribed jade slip that Nangong Yu asked Boundless Black Market to send over. She showed an angry and funny helpless expression. There was only one sentence in the inscribed jade slip. It wasn't words, but Nangong Yu's deep and magnetic voice as if it was blended with deep affection. I only want to be with one person in this life. Hold hands until we get old, be husband and wife, love without doubt. Shiyu, I want everyone in the world to know that that person is you. This bastard. Heshi carefully put away the inscribed jade slip and murmured in a low voice, it's clear that he acted before informing me. He doesn't want to give me the opportunity to reject. Chapter 1500. The return of Ouyang Haoshuan Qing Luan, who was standing by the side, saw that everyone had left. Then she said in a low voice, Miss, why did Master say that he wants to marry Shiyu? Everyone in the world knows that Shiyu is a man. If Master says that he wants to marry Nailin, wouldn't it save a lot of trouble? Nailin Heshi is dead. Heshi shook her head. On this point, her thoughts were exactly the same as Nangong Yu's. From now on, Shiyu is my name. Nailin Heshi and Nailin family have never been related to me. You must remember this. Qing Luan was startled. She immediately remembered the previous incident. The man in red clothes raised the Nailin mansion in the blink of an eye. Qing Yuan still remembered that she asked Bai Hu afterward how powerful the man in red clothes was. Bai Hu said that even with the power of Master, he couldn't wipe out the entire Nalan mansion without leaving a single brick. Why did such a powerful man in red clothes go to Nalan mansion? He was probably looking for Mississippi. We don't know if he is an enemy or a friend. If it is someone who has ill intention against Miss, then there will be big troubles. Qing Yuan immediately nodded with a serious expression. Miss, I understand. Hashi was about to ask her about the specific news that Nangong Yu had spread in Miluo continent, then she suddenly felt something in divine sense and raised her eyebrows. This is the master-servant blood pact of me and Ouyang Haoshuan? Ouyang Haoshuan has come to Miracle Healer City? Hashi thought for a moment, took Qing Yuan with him, quickly left Miracle Healer Academy, and came to Shengda Hall in Miracle Healer City. As soon as she entered Shengda Hall, she heard Bai Hu's nervous voice. My God, how did you end up like this? Who did this to you? Hashi's heart tightened. As soon as she entered the door, he met Ouyang Haoshuan's calm and smiling eyes. It was just that his current appearance had nothing to do with being calm. His white robe was stained with blood, crumpled, and had several holes. His face was even more frighteningly pale. Hashi could feel his disordered and weak aura without checking his pulse or spiritual power. The most shocking thing was that one of his arms was empty, and a large amount of blood stain on the severed sleeve. It was obviously cut off by someone. Hashi's face turned grim in an instant. She took a step forward and stuffed a medicinal pill into Ouyang Haoshuan's mouth. Her voice was cold and frightening. Who did this to you? Hashi had always been extremely protective to her people. She wouldn't allow anyone to hurt them. It applied to Shaoli, Shijia, Ouyang Haoshuan, Gu Lufeng, etc. When the medicinal pill took effect in Ouyang Haoshuan's body, his pale face immediately looked better. His disordered aura also recovered slowly. Ouyang Haoshuan smiled slightly and said, I chased Feng Lianying and Ye Jinshin all the way to the extreme northern Iceland. The journey was too far. In order to replenish spiritual power, I have almost used up all my medicinal pills. Hashi frowned. Feng Lianying hurt you? Impossible. Feng family people don't have such abilities. She could tell at a glance that Ouyang Haoshuan's current cultivation had broken through the nascent soul stage. Hashi was not surprised at all. After merging Fire Element Spirit Pearl, Ouyang Haoshuan's fire attribute improved at an unimaginable speed. He had already reached the edge of advancement. Coupled with several months of training in the Thousands Years Flame Cave, it was normal for him to advance to the nascent soul stage. They are tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.